play. All right. I make no guarantees that this is actually going to work correctly.
Let's say for just a second that one of the two people has extensive experience running OBS and one of the other people is tall.
Yeah.
And
Regardless.
that person decided to hold me down like a big brother
Yeah.
pushing the little brother down and said, "You're not allowed to touch things."
Well, I mean, yeah.
Hold on, should we give them the option of my backgrounds? Because I have a green screen that I use quite frequently, but
No, we're
apparently
not
for
doing we're
Zoom.
not doing you
Ah,
as Vulcan's codpiece. No.
come on.
This has been we've been together for a half hour so far, guys, and this started off a little bit rough. So I am going to warn everyone. Brad and I both managed this week to get the flu independent of each other, so we're going to sound a little bit
Eh,
rough, and there's going to
eh,
be some coughing.
eh,
Yeah, no,
eh, eh, eh.
no.
What? I
All
think
right,
that looks amazing.
all right. So let's hi. Simply put, we'll start off with the obvious. This is what Brad and I look like.
This guy.
Surprise.
I don't think anybody's
um,
surprised.
so today we're just doing our first Q&A. We'll do more of these as we go through. It was a long wait for this. We were trying to get some other stuff set up ahead of time. So really, the goal of this was to kind of use this first as a thank you to everybody because we're pretty far into the cast. We've had a lot of people like it, so we wanted to make something that's a bit more fun, a bit more Q&A, a bit more lined up. But more importantly, we wanted to actually spend some time with everybody, kind of answering questions, and not just in the Discord format. So it's recorded here. So a couple things about this. This is obviously being recorded. At the end of this, it will live live. It'll live recorded on YouTube. I'm also going to cut the audio out, and I'm going to add an additional podcast for it. So there'll be an additional, um, you know, cast coming out probably near the end of this week with this one on it. So just heads up there. Uh, but yeah, I think before we get going right into the Q&A, we just
Let's
wanted to start
dive
off.
in, bro.
Huh? Well,
Dive
no, just a
in.
big thank you. Yeah, just big thank you to everybody. We've been doing this for a while, and it's grown a lot faster and larger than we expected. So that's been super cool. And I just really want to say thank you to everybody for listening and liking the podcast.
I will also say thank you. Also, is that a second edition PHB behind you?
Oh, you know it is.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
you know it is. It's one of the only D&D I like. The only D&D is advanced. It was the best version, and I get told I'm wrong on that
Mm.
all the time. But anyway, um, so before we get going, just a couple like actually announcements. It's a good place for it. First and foremost, for those who haven't signed up yet, please sign up to for our 40K event, June 6th, 7th, and 8th here in Detroit. We've got quite a few tickets left, so it'd be nice if people would sign up and come on in. Like a lot of tickets left. It will be fine. But yeah, we have an event June 6th, 7th, and 8th. For anyone who plays the game at tabletop and is close enough to the Detroit metro area, we'd love to have you there. It's going to be a 3-day event. Lots of gaming, lots of hanging out. Brad and I'm playing in the event. Brad's technically TOing. Technically.
What? I'm totally TOing, man.
You are TOing, but you're going to be having to ask a lot of other TOs questions.
What? I mean, yeah.
You can handle the major rules. The small ones, you'd be like,
If they ask me rules and questions about drinking wine and or my opinion on the rules, I have
then
answers.
you're golden. Hey, do you think he should be able to do this? No, but he can. Basically,
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is a dumb rule. What's your ruling though? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's like, but he's right. It's a stupid rule, but he's right. So is that announcement? Another bigger one is there's going to be an extra podcast dropping this Friday. So we have partnered up and shifted our network over to something called Robots Radio. And Robots
It's so
Radio,
fun.
It's really great. So Robots Radio is a podcast network that is lore, effectively. Tom, who runs it, we did a cast with him last week. I'll be releasing it this Friday. They have a Fallout lorecast, a Mass Effect lorecast, Skyrim, or whatever it's called, lorecast. They've got Lord of the Rings lorecast. So it's kind of a good spot for us to fit. So just let everyone know you'll see some changes as we shift over to that. We're hoping to make a lot of like really good positive changes by moving over to there. Tom's been really helpful to us and helping us kind of improve our quality, improve a lot of stuff. So big thank you to him if he's listening. If he's not, whatever, he's still a good guy.
I'm throwing this down because this is so funny because this is another Brad being dumb and John getting to yell at me. So we meet with Tom from Robots Radio, and later on I go, man, that guy sounded so familiar. And later on, I call John up after our meeting and go, oh, yeah, that's the dude I've listened to for tens and probably hundreds of hours of Fallout and other stuff. And he's like, how are you such an idiot? And you did not realize this. And I'm like, sometimes it takes me a while to really let it go into my brain.
So, oh, Jesus, Brad. But anyway, so that's a nice change we'll be having there. There'll be some other changes coming through too. This YouTube channel is going to be used. I'm very slowly getting there, converting the casts over to be somewhat video related, just still imagery. You'll see some of that pop in here along with some more stuff. Our goal is to add quite a bit to this. What is this? Okay. The other piece to it.
Closer to your mic, yo. Challenge check failed quite frequently.
There it is. So the other one too, along with that, is we're going to be adding another cast over the course of the summer. We're going to be doing something actually video related. Can't tell you all the details yet because it's been written in theory, but we haven't started recording it yet. But we have some more stuff coming over the summer. So anyway, with all that.
I also love that this is the first time a lot of people are seeing us, and I'm banana pants sick, and I think my head's swelled to double its size right now.
We're both. I had a fever. I do laugh. Like, we planned this thing 2 months out. So we had 2 months, and we both managed to get fevers this week. I was at a 102 yesterday. I think you were at the same. Like, we're both like, yeah, great timing, guys. Oh, Brad is not as tall as the back of that chair, by the way. It's a low chair. Sorry,
dude, I'm so tall.
I can see the comments happening. All right, so
bullshit.
With that, what I did was
we should probably answer a question.
Yeah, so what I did was people submitted questions via our Discord, and so I converted them over so I could actually ask them in order and make it a lot easier. So for those of you who submitted the questions, thank you. I am watching the chat. I'll try and add some of these as we go through, so I'm going to kind of have to fill in a little bit of both as we do, but let's party. So the first one was from Barakio.
Why do we have to start with a hard question?
What? This is an easy one.
Softball one in.
This is easy. I honestly, this is what happens when I kind of did them randomly. So, Brad, by the way, hasn't seen any of these questions, so this is going to be fun.
He wouldn't let me see that. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to see
You're not as good when you're prepared. I'll be perfectly honest. You're not as good when you're prepared. So... All right, so let's party in with this. So the difference between 40K, Kill Team, Sigmar, Warhammer Fantasy, Legends. Ooh. So 40K and Kill Team are the same. Kill Team is
No,
just a
well, they're
smaller
not.
version, right?
Well, it's different rules on that. Age of Sigmar is the fantasy version. It's also a separate from Old Worlds, which was there originally was Warhammer Fantasy, and then we've got the Legends part of it. Age of Sigmar, they basically blew up Warhammer Fantasy, legitimately blew up.
Yeah.
Archaon blew up the world. And then they made a new game, which was like 40K because fantasy was on movement trays. So they had a lot of movement trays and blocks. And then they made Sigmar, which is basically 40K in fantasy, and they test all the rules in Sigmar. And then they brought back fantasy as old worlds. Kill Team is a smaller version of 40K using all the exact lore. It's everything that goes with 40K in it, just a smaller game. Kill Team's really fun, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, the thing I was saying is Games Workshop, who owns 40K, make a lot of games. Necromunda is another one, too.
So good.
Is
Like
a
your
bunch.
games.
I'm trying to think. They even have a Lord of the Rings game. They've got a bunch of games. Some of them overlap. So, for example, Necromunda, 40K, and Kill Team all sit in the same universe. Sigmar is its own universe that's taken over from the prior universe of Warhammer Fantasy. That's the best way to explain it. So, there you go. Next one's easier. How do you bring minis to the event without them breaking? Well, let Brad answer that one.
So what you do is you make friends with a ton of people all over the place. You prove to everyone that you are incompetent and will not show up with the things you're needed to, and other people will bring your models for you, and you don't have to travel with models.
Was it
However,
was it Adepticon that you showed up without dice and models?
last two tournaments in a row, I've showed up with nothing.
Yeah, no dice,
Absolutely
no
nothing.
models. Yeah,
No tape, no
yeah.
anything.
That being said, my recommendation is if you're driving, you can purchase very cheap toolboxes. So the things that like people bring, like drills, screwdrivers, all that stuff in, you can buy them actually very cheap online, plastic off Amazon. Who gives a crap? They've got wheels in them, and then what I do is they actually make these magnetized, like they're just sticky. You can put them down, and what you're able to do then is actually have a magnetized base throughout it. And every model I have, as you can see behind me, here, I'll open more closets. Hold on.
The table, some of the phone, if you cut,
Everything I have is magnetized down. So because everything I have is magnetized down, then when I move it, it for the most part stays still. You can also buy foam, which looks like this. These things also exist.
real quick on this, are you just coming in mono? Is John just mono, or are both of us mono?
What?
They're they're saying that we're coming in as like mono audio.
All right, hold on.
So I'm gonna keep talking on this one. John is just mono. Don't touch my audio. Uh, if someone's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be Brad. God damn it. So you just keep me in mono. That's how John just sounds, by the way. If he talks to you, you only hear him in the
All
one
right.
ear.
So I'm coming as mono. That's annoying. All right.
Mono E John mono. So, but if you're traveling, like I fly a lot to tournaments, and you can have those. You can have cases that are magnetized like John's, but John's like driving is just easier because you can just his are in huge toolboxes, which are great for the car. I've also borrowed his stuff several of the times.
Yeah.
But if you're flying, a lot of times you have to have it in basically custom foam. You just cut it out to whatever you want, and that's how you travel.
Okay. All right. I'm playing with this right now. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second here.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You're gonna goof us. What are we doing? Like an eye doctor? Is it better or the same? Better? Same?
Work. All right. So we're doing that. I am so bad at this.
Ah,
Why? 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 I hate everything. Why? All right. Hopefully if it's unbearable, guys.
now he's
Now I'm
stereo.
stereo. Haha. All I do is turn it on and
Just
off.
give me the next question.
All right. Next question.
I'm gonna go take some Lasix because my head looks like
All
a
right.
pumpkin.
So someone just said he's a dad from the UK, and they are cockwombles about Biggie. Simple, not really a question, just a good statement. Which trader Primark is most likely to return after Fulgrim?
Leman Rust.
Trader.
Trader Primark. Oh
Jesus
shit, my
Christ.
bad. I don't. Sometimes I don't read.
I've noticed. We're running out of them. All we have left is, I think, Lorgar, who's not dead.
He can die in a fire. Lorgar's the worst.
You're gonna have to all we have left, right? We have Lorgar
Perturabo.
and
Yeah,
Petarabo because Conrad's dead.
yeah. Oh, we're missing more. No, yeah, Alfarius.
But he's also dead.
I mean, is he?
Maybe.
I
Yeah.
am Alfarius.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna bring a Trader Primarch back, I think the most likely one would be a Lorgar because you could do a lot of lore with it.
I mean, you got to talk about whether it's Megan. Also, I'm going to continue to call him Megatron for the rest of my life. So it's
Yeah, I mean,
Alfarius and Megatron.
yeah. My
So
my viewpoint on it is more. I could see. I know you don't like Lorgar, and you're not wrong not like Lorgar, but Lorgar moves the lore ahead really aggressively because him
it'd
coming
have to
back.
be. It'd have to be really. They'd have to do a huge story drop though.
Yeah,
If you're going to get Lorgar back, because he's currently like just changing addresses because Korax is hot on his tail.
yeah. But he also has elevated Demon Prince now, which is cool. On top of that, he's got like you could do like an Abaddon 13th Crusade type style with him. So that's why I could see them bringing it back. But my expectations we're going to see a few, probably a couple loyalist Primarchs because we're horrifyingly outnumbered between the Primarchs. I mean, we still have one or two. We only have two loyalist Primarchs right now. So
I mean, we just need more lawyer. That's why I thought about that
yeah,
originally, because we've got all four right now for the four books that are out. Because we've got
mm-hmm.
Angron, Mortarion, excuse me, Angron, Mortarion. We just got Fulgrim,
Yep.
and
How you doing, bye? Yeah.
why did I just blank on
You
Angron,
have,
Mortarion,
you have Morty, Magnus,
Fulgrim?
Fulgrim, and Angron. Yep. So it's 4-2 right now. So my
Yeah,
guess is the next thing we'll see will be a loyalist. So all right.
I do. The they can go to the next question, or I'm gonna get carried. I can't. I'm being so good right now on staying on track.
All right. How does someone become a demon prince? It's actually just a matter of doing enough to make the demons happy. The
Well,
demons, to make the chaos gods happy. That's how you do it.
some people have been cursed with being a prince. I mean, it's all over the place. You have to have enough achievements to make your god happy,
Yeah.
like John was saying. But like, there are people that have been cursed with it because they fell to chaos and then they became a demon prince. And the demon prince, being a demon prince, was to punish them for and basically show everybody that they fell to chaos. So there has been multiples of that also.
Okay. So someone's sending me something on Discord to make me work better. Ooh, advanced audio properties. Hold on. See, this is what happens when people are helpful. I don't know what that even means. Pop, 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 pop. So I should check mono. Does this put me in stereo, guys? This is called fixing it live. All right. Cool. All right. I'm an idiot. So, thank you, Ludo. I appreciate it. I am PDFs I can open. That's about as far as this goes. All right, next one. Aramon or Mephiston, just in general, which one do you enjoy more as a character? Brad and I are going to... Oh, wait. I lost Brad. Hold on one second, everybody. That's funny. Hi, my name's John, and technology is really not my thing. Cool. All right, everybody. A little bit of technical difficulties. I'm going to have to call Brad on Discord now because apparently I'm an idiot and Zoom won't let me talk to him very long. Give me a second.
What?
Give me a
What
second.
happened to our meeting, bro?
Apparently I don't have premium Zoom.
I love everything about this.
I hate everything about this. I'm just going to make it really clear. Detest.
I love that you had this. Am I back? I'm waiting to be back in.
Yeah, you're here. Don't worry about it.
Look at full Discord. Oh, look at my background. My background's amazing. Yes.
Yeah. Literally just doing the, whatchamacall. The
What, dude? This is like professional, guys. Look at the camera air sign and everything.
Jesus Christ. The level of hate and anger I have on this is exceptional.
Oh, flawless victory. Hey, we got through 3 questions before we completely fucking shit the bed.
Yeah. I'm proud of me. Are you proud of me? Oh, wait. Nope. Can't do that now. Cool. Now I have to do this so I can see this.
What you should do, in all seriousness, pop me out on the thing. Go pop out. It's at the bottom right. Go pop out. And then you cannot have all the camera air shit and all that in there.
Cool.
You basically pop out and then you got to window capture the pop out window.
I'm figuring it out slowly and surely.
I brand is built differently. You don't even know how much that applies. I am officially God's joke. I am very fast, very strong, 3 feet tall, and nothing in my body works. I couldn't donate my organs if I tried.
Really?
Really?
I mean, we could do a foot race, but I think we both know how it's going to end.
I would beat you for the first 40 yards for sure, and then I might die.
Yeah.
After that,
followed by
the strength thing, I will challenge you all day long.
Yeah, very aggressive heart attack.
Yeah, I didn't say I would live afterwards. I said I would win. Come on.
Which I guess counts. Same. 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
This is perfect right here. Just leave me like this. Snake.
I'm so frustrated and annoyed by this. All right. Attempt 4. Here we go. All right.
Let me die off on the side.
There we go. All right. Well, back to this. See? Small technical difficulties. Will I edit that out? Nope. All right. There we go. Ahriman and Mephiston. Who do we like more as a character? I'd go with Ahriman. Ahriman's more interesting. Mephiston.
Like 1,000,000,000%. I loved Ahriman's books too, though. So I'm it's hard for me not to love him on that. Ahriman's one of my favorite bad guy characters because his fall to darkness wasn't a curly mustache. I'm doing evil to do evil. It was he was wildly messed up from the death of his brother to the curse. His twin brother, who he was psychically linked, which he still might be psychically linked. So he fell trying to prevent that. You know what I mean? He had good intentions, like for a long time. Ahriman also got betrayed over and over by the most
run. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. The people that were the most powerful, the biggest influences were all of them betrayed him. I think he's a great character, super flawed, 100% flawed, but man, he had a great fall. He's one of my favorite characters. I love the lore on him. If you haven't read his books, good series of books. He's always had good lore too, even from the beginning when they first introduced him. Even before they, super fleshed him out, he's always been a very interesting character.
All right, well, that was question 6 of 87, so speed up.
I already told you this. I can get about 20 of these out unless you start throwing stuff. I'm also not at your house. You can't just throw things at me to make
that's true.
me
That's
go
usually
faster.
the advantage I have. I just throw stuff at Stop, Brad. All right. Question. So, next question about Space Marines getting maimed and still wanting to fight, so they become Dreadnots. So, the way a Space Marine becomes a Dreadnought is if you lose a limb or you break your spine, those kind of things. They've got cybernetics they can put in you, and they augment you, and you're pretty much good to go. When you get truly wrecked, like melta to the chest wrecked, but they're able to kind of preserve your brain and a little bit like that, they put you into a Dreadnought where you're in between servitor and not servitor. That's all. That's really what a dreadnought is. It's
Well,
pretty
let's go.
gross.
However, let's do the other ones. They said
Well, I would
Marines.
actually call it, if you play, if you want to know what it is, watch Terminator. No, not Terminator. RoboCop 2. I think yes, RoboCop 2.
Yeah.
That's the dreadnought.
Well, or if you're
Oh, no,
a
RoboCop
Chaos
1.
Dreadnought,
Yeah, RoboCop 1. It's just RoboCop. I just realized that. Screw that. It's
either
just
one.
RoboCop.
Yeah.
Well, Dreadnought's RoboCop.
Unless you're a Chaos Dreadnought, which is I basically go, hey John, could you check inside there real quick? And then I just push him in and seal him. And go, attach the tubes. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Just realized that.
Being a Chaos Dreadnought.
I just had that epiphany moment. I was like, oh my god, they just ripped off RoboCop. Yeah, good for them. All right. Besides the Horus Heresy, have there been notable civil wars in the Imperium? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like bad.
Goge, that was a full civil war basically. The entire rise of the ecclesiarchy was a civil war. You had 100%. The one where the head of the Assassin's Guild,
three.
You know,
well, that's what we always say. We've had 3 Lords of Terra like full on riffs. I mean, there's been more, but like there's been 3 that were just galaxy shattering kind of things.
But the second part of the question is like, is the Imperium is more unstable than Brad's organs, so I imagine the factions would fight.
No.
What you get is a lot of shadow wars going on in the Imperium. This is like where planetary governors are trying to increase the like their power, so they're gonna hire assassins. They're gonna do all stuff to undermine each other. Like there's a lot of that going on, but you do on occasion, at least 3 times, to Brad's point, have full-blown civil wars break out where the factions involved are big enough, and usually the big boys have to come and get involved. And big boys are going to be Space Marines or Custodes.
Yeah. Hundo, spin it. New question. I'm in.
The Misericordia is wielded by the Custodes to actually do anything. All right, funny story. In the lore, yes. On the tabletop, no.
Used to be though. The in the game, the Custodes weapons used to make a big deal. Misericordia used to give you an extra attack.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but the Misericordia it's like this, like in the in the lore, it's like a super blade, and so, but it's kind of like what you'd have. It's their like little like I'd call it Gurkha knife if you guys knows what those are. That was the idea of the Misericordia. Is it's something that the Custode uses to kind of like pull apart their foe in hand-to-hand combat.
And it's also slices right through armor and stuff. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
in the game, it's never used. It actually excuse me, it's not even a thing anymore.
Well, yeah, because people used to not roll it because they didn't want to clock out, wasting their time, because they would do no damage.
Yeah, but I'm saying like it doesn't even it's not even in existence right now because they simplified the game, so it's just you don't even get that weapon.
All right, I'll stay close to the mic, guys. Sorry. All right, another one. One question I do see in chat was: is there any way that Sanguinius could come back? No. Sanguinius is very.
I mean, the answer is yes, but please don't.
Yeah, no, that's a much better way of putting it. Yeah, no, Sanguinius is very, very, very dead. And yeah, for those of you who've caught on, there is Monty Python playing behind me because I figured I should have something on that TV.
I'm a little disappointed. It's not the Nature Channel or whatever. What do you usually have on it?
Well, we usually have the Dinosaur Channel. We have random stuff on that TV. It's got it's just random. Like when Brad comes over.
I want you. You're gonna have to read this because you literally have it so small that I have no idea what it says.
It's fine. So I'm about to graduate. So Nat asked, "I'm about to graduate college and we're looking for jobs. I've realized I've been kind of coasting through life. Now I have to work a full-time job. Should I try and prioritize hobby time? And if I do, how to make time for hobbies, friends, blah blah blah." Okay, this question is gonna come up a lot, and a lot of people ask the question similar to this: how do you do adulting and hobbying and all this stuff? And
I've got so many answers to this. There's so much easy. See, don't sleep at all. Doctors tell you all the time. It doesn't help you at all. So you have so much more time for hobbying and doing stuff. That's 1. 2, disability. Get super messed up, have way more time. Some of it you might find yourself wandering in front of your house. I don't know, maybe just doing nothing, not knowing where your time is. But it gives you a lot more time for hobbying. If you want to do it like an adult with people with jobs and children, fine, John. Tell them what you do.
All right. So the truth is, guys, I have a lot of hobbies. I have a lot of stuff I do. I don't play as much as I'd like to. That's really the answer. Before we did the Lorecast, I had more time. This thing does eat up a good chunk of my time in a week. But between family, job, everything else, you're not really going to have a lot of time for hobbying. But the truth is that what you do is you kind of prioritize how to do it better. So for me, for example, I only play Warhammer live in an event maybe once every 3 months. Just truthfully, because I don't have the time to do it more. That's because I'm also doing jiu-jitsu multiple times a week. I'm traveling for work. I'm doing all those things. So a lot of it is that the best thing you can do, the best advice I give for people who really do love 40K and want to play more of it is find a local group. The advantage of a local group is that with local groups, you'll be able to find people who can play around your schedule. If you get it big enough, as a guy who comes over my house, we play at like 6 p.m. on a Thursday. That's a good time.
I coach him also.
Yeah, I can make that work. That's kind of my best advice around that. But yeah, adulting sucks. It just sucks. But not adulting also sucks. So, just candidly. All right, next one from Choingler, who did a very good job of actually spelling that phonetically for me. Although I don't know what I would have guessed that was otherwise. All right.
There's no chance you would have got that.
All right, how easy is it to travel in the Imperium? If someone wanted to move to a new planet for better opportunities, how would they go about doing it? They don't. That is not.
That's a different answer though. The answer is you don't, or it's really easy.
Well,
the people that can travel. No, the people that can travel
not for better opportunity. Like if you're in the Imperial Navy, you get to travel a lot. If you're an Inquisitor, you get to travel a lot. But if you're sitting there saying, "Hey, this planet
if you're
sucks,
a trader and stuff like this,"
anymore.
But
yeah. But I think what he's asking is or he or she are asking is, "Hey, I'm living on this hive world and it blows, and I don't want to live here anymore. Can I go move?" No. Simply put, no.
The thing is, it's kind of like right now.
Yeah, you can join the Imperial Guard. That would be your other option.
Well, if you have means, super easy. There's tons of ways to travel. If you don't have means, completely impossible. Yeah. Also, the people want you to be a cog. So
that's why.
If you're making widgets, you're going to keep making widgets, and they'll shoot you if you try to do something else.
All right, so this is an easy one. This person, Brandon, was asking. I've checked out the Discord, and there are many answers regarding book suggestions. Could you two please list your favorite Black Library book series as a suggestion? I've read random books and currently loving the Eisenhorn. Love your work. Brad, I'll let you go first because I think I know where you're going to
go. First 3 Horus Heresy books, The Night Hunter for sure. I love that book. Eisenhorn, the Caiaphas Cain books. I like to read all the things that have a different feel to them so I can bounce around. You know what I mean? Some are very serious. Some are like Caiaphas Cain are super hilarious. Some are crazy. The Night Hunter, for instance, all the Night-led books, actually. Gaunt's Ghost is fantastic. I'm a big fan of Vulcan Lives because I just like the salamanders. Go ahead. I mean, I can name a bunch of others, but like those are some of my go-tos.
I would throw in a one-off book is Trazen, The Infant and the Divine.
Oh, Infinite Divine. Oh, yeah.
Really, really good book. Yeah, Gaunt's is good. Eisenhorn's good. Early Horus Heresies are good. I will be honest, the Siege of Terra, that's a tome. Man, those books get long, but they're well written. It really is the advice I like is kind of follow what you're more into. Which is a kind of a lame way of saying it, but like for me, I like the concept of like a regular person living in the 40K universe. Why is this doing this?
Oh, Aramon books. Why did I just said that? How did I just not?
But whereas I like people who are just living in the normal 40K universe. That's interesting to me. Where what I don't find interesting, and so I find the Space Marine books a little bit less interesting than others, but that's just me. So,
yeah. And speaking of people on that, the rest of the Salamander books I do not endorse. I read them, but I do like Vulcan Lives just because I want Vulcan.
All right, this is from someone I didn't get a name on this, so this might be a stupid question, but is Terra considered a hive world? Because when you talked about it, it made it seem hugely popular with people without a main purpose thing to produce, but the classification might not apply because the world is special. No, it's actually Terra would be a paradise.
It's world. A fortress. Well, no, it's a fortress world
and a paradise world. I mean, it's designed so, and effectively, not much is produced on Terra. Terra exists as kind of...
I don't think anything's produced.
Yeah, Terra is a place that the most powerful and wealthiest people in the galaxy hang out. That's what Terra's for. From Asylum, if you live in the 40K universe, what job would you hope to do? Join the Guard, work on an agri world, or something on a hive planet? I'll go with agri world. The only place I want to live is in Agri World because no one targets it outside of maybe Tyranids, but you don't just get wrecked.
Scribe.
Yeah, Scribe is they just probably Scribe's good. There's just a lot of I just want to be a farmer.
You get to travel. You know, I mean, if I get to choose like a real like I'd want to be a rogue trader because you can have infinite wealth and go anywhere you want, but that's not really a job. That's more of a
job. It's like, hey, I'd like
an inheriting.
Good, Brad.
I'd like to be king.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd like. Yeah, that's what I was about to go with. You'd like to be an imperial governor or managing 7 systems. Okay, neat. All right, Monkey Planet. Mirror on the wall. Who is the blank of them all? So, what word would every Primark put into the gap? I think what you mean by this is that what does every Primark view themselves as, like, or what is it they want themselves to be? This one took me a second to read a couple times, but it makes sense now. So, like, for example, Fulgrim would be fairest. That's an easy one. I'm trying to think through some of the other ones. Probably Leman Rust would be the best fighter of them all. These guys all kind of yeah. Who else? Just do a couple.
I mean, you could do all of them. But Bobby G would be who's the best bureaucracy? Who's the best bureaucracy of them all? You
have that one. I mean, there's a bunch of them. I think who else? Like Angron would just be the greatest slaughterer of them all. They're all kind of because the thing is what they're meant to be. That the 18 Primarchs are all meant to kind of represent different key elements of an imperial society. I'll be candid. I think GW wrote too many. I think we would have been better off with 12 Primarchs because they start to repeat at a certain point.
Because you have to be able to kill some if you didn't.
Yeah, it's in the sense of like it's kind of hard if you look at the purpose of Night Lords and Raven Guard, it's just they overlap quite a bit. There's just a lot of overlap in my mind in a lot of the legions, and it would have been better with less legions.
I like that. I'm giving the 2 comments though. Fulkin, who's the most evil of them all, so he can go kill them, and then Alfarius would think it's a mirror, but he's just looking at him again. Continue. New question. Go. Drop it.
Made a good recommendation on books to a Fire Warrior if you're into Tau. If you're into that sort of thing, do you? T-Mist. Who remained loyal after their chapter went to Chaos? Do they remain part of their chapter in Imperium, or are they consumed by another chapter? This is actually
a bunch, actually.
Yeah, this actually does, especially with the second foundings. You get, we talked about this with Knights a little bit, so Free Blade Knights. Now, again, it's different, but similar concept, where you had Free Blade Knights, where their world may have gone to Chaos, and they went, no, I'm not going out like that. There are some interesting chapters that kind of pop in and out in the lore that are made up of people whose chapters did go to Chaos and they refused to go.
You've got several of these smaller Crusaders, because the Black Templars are a crusading chapter, but you've got several chapters that are crusading to basically make up for the failings of their brothers.
Yeah,
there's multiple successor chapters that are like that.
Yeah, it's more common now because anyone who was part of the original ones that fell, those guys are dead now, obviously. But we still do get one thing that we don't talk about a lot in the cast yet. It'll come up more later, and some of the stuff we'll cover later. But you do get times where a second founding chapter will flip to Chaos. They get corrupted and they flip to Chaos. In a gladiator style event, which of the Primarchs would win? Angron.
Are we going to everybody? No,
It's Angron.
Absolutely not. Angron has lost every single title fight.
He shouldn't. My point
he is literally 0 wins against any of the other Primarchs.
Fine.
Sanguinius
6,000. Is dead. Sanguinius is dead.
Horus would have won them.
He's whiny. I still think it's Angron.
It's not. He's lost to every other Primarch.
Well, that's fair. Fulgrim?
He wrecks. If you want somebody to handle, you did a big pull and you need someone to handle all of the ads, you put Angron on that. He's not allowed to attack the boss. He always pulls aggro and gets killed. That's what Angron does.
That's true. Just on paper, he's just so powerful.
However, every single time he's fought anybody that of substance.
It's not Jagadai Khan because I hate him. it would have to be a Chaos Primark, because if we're talking Gladiator, so we're talking one-on-one, as much as the Lion is tough and Gilliman are tough, they're not taking on a demon, like a demon-infused Primark. So I'm going to have to go with Fulgrim then.
Program, I mean, Morty's just grinds everybody out, but he's also been defeated multiple times.
Yeah, Morty
even
Morty
as the
gets
demon
whiny.
power.
That's the thing. Fulgrim's just such a good swordsman that I could
He's
see it
also
being that way.
an insane person now. It's awesome
Yeah. Okay, so let's go with
because
Fulgrim.
he's just fueled by doing crazy shit.
All right, let's go with Fulgrim. Next
Daddy
one.
Lion. The Lion has been wrecking people, by the way.
He is, but I struggle to think the Lion's going to defeat. I mean, he has obviously defeated Angron, to your point, but it's that piece of like Fulgrim is a full demon infused Primarch. It just feels like when we're doing the Horus Heresy books, every time someone had to go fight one of the demon infused Primarchs to get their asses kicked. So, all right. So Space Marine 2, this is from Shane McMichael. Space Marine 2 got me into Warhammer, but your podcast got me the lore and desire to play the game. I've picked up Space Wolves as clearly the superior faction. Fair enough. So my question is a two-parter. Why is Leman Rust the best Primarch by far, and do you think he will make his glorious comeback and be released at tabletop?
I'm gonna steal yours on this. John thinks that because I would have bet money that he was out 2 years ago when they brought Wolfen in the 13th Legion, and that's the whole thing that he was supposed to come back from the warp when the 13th Legion came back, and he didn't, and it pissed me off, and I'm still mad about it. But I'll give your thing. I don't want to steal your thunder. I was going to, but I gave the precursor. Now go.
I don't think Leman Rust comes back for a while because it's impossible to model him. That's an impossible.
Oh no, the 11th edition thing though. Because I think that when they released you said, and I go with this.
Yeah.
John was like, when they release 11th, we're in 10th edition right now, because they have to do a full storyline about why and what he's doing.
Right, and we have the Wolfen are back now. Wolfen, the what are they called? They're all back now, so you do have a good chance that he could be the leader of bringing into 11th edition. We're going to get a loyal Primarch, and it's going to be most likely Vulcan or Leman. I don't think they can bring back Corax. I think he's given the last bit that he's just an entity, a warp murder entity. Could be a cool model, but yeah. So I think what makes Leman awesome is that he YOLO swags everything and just doesn't care, but it always works. So he's kind of, I mean, he's kind of like a big angry archer. It's kind of how I view Leman. Like it just.
I look at him as like doing Aragorn stuff. He just has terrible plans that keep working.
Yeah, but I do think that most likely, I think from a selling model standpoint, GW would be remiss to not bring back Leman. It would be massive. I will say, I don't like the rules that Fulgrim got. I am pretty sure I will hate the rules that they will give Leman Rust, because he should be just an auto-winning monstrosity, and he will miss.
Boom.
Yeah. But anyway, that's why he should be coming back. But I think it'll be him or Vulcan next, probably him.
I actually think the Vulcan's
David, why do you think? What do you think the Lion would have done if, when he returned to the Imperium, he was the only Loyalist Primarch alive? Would he have done differently than Gilliman? He would have put on boots and mighty ass kicking much more. So Gilliman, Gilliman. The reason I love Gilliman is that Gilliman actually makes really good decisions, whereas the Lion, and he did this, at the end of Siege of Terra, came back to an Imperium that was completely destroyed and falling apart, and went, yeah, someone else fix that. I'm gonna go stomp some fools. And Gilliman was the one who went, hey, maybe we should have food, and we can focus on that. So I think if the Lion had come back, he would have gone back to Terra. He would have murdered all the Lords of Terra. He would have taken control of the Imperium and would have just turned it into a war machine. And the Imperium probably would have starved to death.
You're not wrong. Lion's a bad dude.
Yeah.
But man, he's also kind of willing to let everybody eat cake while he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
I refuse to get caught up and talk about Rogal Dorn. It'll derail this.
Oh, this is fun. Brent Popes, why do you hate Rogal Dorn so much? From all the books I've read, he seems awesome.
Oh, Rogal Dorn.
Why?
One, he's always talking shit and getting wrecked. He's unbelievable in combat, by the way. Like, hand to hand, Rogal kicks ass. All of Rogal's plans and doing his cool fortifications, they never work. Also, when they teleported up, he got lost. I'm assuming he had a hat that said Horus on one side and the Emperor on the other, and he was trying to see how everything would work out. Whatever.
Yeah.
He's also so boring. He's just so boring.
That's the real one for Brad. If you guys want to know why Brad doesn't like Rogal, it's because Brad finds Rogal boring. And there's an argument. Rogal is, my viewpoint, Rogal in the codexes is actually really cool and badass. Rogal in the novels tends to be a little like, oh, so Captain Sirius is here, and he's got a bunch of really serious things to do. Now, that being said, and Brad will admit this, when it comes time for punching in faces, Rogal's...
Oh, he's a bad dude.
Yeah.
I can't... I talk a lot of shit about Rogal Dorn. I also had a bunch of Imperial Fist players that played at my original store that I started playing at. But when it comes down to throwing down, Rogal's on speed dial. If you're like, hey, man, we have to go fight hand-to-hand with some guys, Rogal's right up there in my speed dials.
Rogal's
like
brutal. Yeah. So... All right, from Quinn. Other than what happened during the heresy, why do the Iron Hands seem to be just found nowhere in current lore? It's not just the Iron Hands, guys. I mean, it's also the White Scars, the Iron Warriors.
It's a decent one.
The truth is, this is the comment I made earlier. I think that the GW wrote too many legions. I think we've been better off with 12 than 18. My opinion, and it's because they just can't really advance them as much. The Ultramarines obviously are very prevalent, so are the Space Wolves, so are the Blood Angels. You get a bunch of them, but there's a bunch of them just kind of like fall off to the wayside at a certain point. Even like Brad loves Salamanders. There's not that much going on with the Salamanders in
the writers also have their favorites. It's like wild. Yeah. I've talked to these guys before about that, and sometimes they do that. They're like, hey, if you give me the choice to write lore about, a couple of my favorites or ones that I would have to really get back, delve into.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm always coming up with ideas, because these writers are they're as passionate, they're way more passionate than even, we are about it.
Well,
they come up with this stuff.
Someone in the chat just made the comment, like, the White Scars got great books in the Heresy. They did. And that was like one of my biggest complaints in the White Scars, is that their Heresy books are nuts. And then post Heresy, they are present.
You're present. You're not wrong.
Kana. If Bobby G and his Blue Boys were all to be locked away in the warp or wiped from the universe, do you have any thoughts on who would lead the Loyalists and how the power balance in the world would shift? Just poking your brains. That's actually an interesting point, because I think it would fall to the Imperial Fists. I think the Imperial Fists would step into a gap left by the Ultramarines, because they're the next closest to that. Because they're the most, they're the next most obsessed with being organized.
Well, they're builders also, so that's a big thing on that.
But that is if we lost the Ultramarines, the Imperium would fall. All right, Nick G. Do you think that in the future editions, based off current characters like Saint Celestine, Corvus Corax being a warp entity of Shadow and Blades, there will be demons of Order factions with a God Emperor or as their patron deity? So I think your question is really good, because technically it exists. Saint Celestine in my opinion, is a demon. And actually,
that gives her power from worshiping the Emperor. That is a real thing.
Also, the opinion of certain members of the Inquisition, that she is, 100%. Someone just said you look like a Midwestern amateur wrestler.
I am Midwestern. I have amateur wrestled. So you're not wrong.
Check.
I like when someone's like, you look like this. And I'm like, because I am.
Yeah, accurate part of my life. But yeah, this is an area I could see, because even some of the Black Templar stuff, who will be doing a cast on in the not too distant future, they get powered up a little bit from the worship of the Emperor too. So there is an element in the Imperium of kind of almost like being powered up by the warp.
The Emperor has effectively almost achieved godhood. You can really argue this right now. So
yeah,
that's a big thing.
Shane Tate, is it possible that the Imperium could just unplug the Emperor and wait for him to come back since he's a perpetual? This is one of the most common questions people ask, and it's heavily debated.
It's why
Yeah.
people have debated it. Also, you can get into I'm going to do short answers on this because you can go crazy on this.
Yep.
Because there's also an argument to be made if the emperor came back, it would shatter the imperium, because the entire ecclesiarchy would be in full civil war. Because what happens if the emperor just doesn't want to be worshipped as a god, or what happens if he comes back and he is a god, but he's not aligned with what you've been saying?
So there's there's a bunch of like ifs and maybes. So the ifs and maybes are, if the emperor dies, and the thing about perpetuals is when a perpetual dies, they don't just die and come back. Again, everyone at GW watched Highlander, and then they wrote all of the perpetual based off of Highlander. Just calling it out. So there's a period of time between when you die and when you rise up. Now, so that period of time, if it's more than like a few weeks, could effectively crash the Imperium because the Astronomicon would just turn off.
I think it might crash anyways, though. Him getting off that. Also, he's in a 100% of the time because, again, remember, the Emperor is shattered. His psyche got shattered to billions of pieces. But collectively, one of the biggest things he does, besides Power of the Astronomicon, is he's fighting a pretty much never-ending war with chaos.
Yeah,
all of the time.
And that's, to me, that's part two. Part two is, if he were to be unplugged and die, would that lessen his powers, which would allow the Chaos Gods to kill him? Which is the other, and that's one of the other fears, is that he actually could die and they could kill him. And then number three is, in the most recent End of Death, there's a whole piece about the Emperor potentially becoming the fifth Chaos God.
Fifth Chaos God.
And
the fights against him.
I think effectively Malal in some ways starts to come back at this point. So there's just and GW's done a good job. Basically, GW is basically saying, yeah, unplug him, he might come back, or you might all die.
Yeah.
So you're calling unplugging him.
Yeah, this is we could do an entire Q&A on just.
Are you watching the chat? Someone called you Timu Tom Segura.
Tom Segura. They're not wrong right now.
This is great. This is giving me joy.
I love that we went again. First time people are seeing me, and I look possibly the worst I could possibly look. It's awesome.
You're fine. All right.
It's your fault. Yeah, exactly. For you.
Yeah, great for me. I mean, honestly, I'm more upset because I have upper respiratory infection. I want to be laughing a lot more, but when I laugh, it hurts. All right. Random Eric. How does Bobby G handle the religious elements of the Imperium and vice versa? Bobby G pushes the Imperial truth, and if anyone else did that, he'd be a heretic. So, fun story on that. When Bobby G woke up and started reading what's been happening in the Imperium for the last 10,000 years, he was really pissed. When he read about the ecclesiarchy, there was some fist banging on tables.
Well, remember, it took him a while. So Bobby G's original thought, the novels are decent, but it's still worth reading for that. Bobby G originally said, "I'm just going to burn this down," and then he realized after he went and he had his powwow with the Emperor, then he went, oh, I kind of have to work within the structure because, the Imperium's being attacked from all sides, so I have to use all of the resources. I would love to set this on fire and start over, but hey, is there 7 different factions all attacking me at the same time? Yes.
I would say with absolute confidence, if Bobby G can get the Imperium on a good footing, he will go murder the ecclesiarchy.
There's putting them in t-shirt cannons and shooting them out. Like
100%. He'll get that big sword of the Emperor and just have a chat.
One by one. He's going door to door, Jay and Silent Bob style.
Exactly.
Have you been posting poopshoot.com?
Yeah. All right. Wyatt asks, if a Grey Knight would ever be suspected of the tiniest bit of chaos, corruption, or heresy, would they send a chaplain, a custode, or other Grey Knights?
Only Grey Knights. They would never send anybody outside. Not even a chance.
Yeah.
Also, they would kill if anybody came to ask about it. They would also kill that guy.
Yeah. I think that I don't think there's ever been a situation of Grey Knight corruption though. Since they have the Emperor inside them, I don't think it's ever happened. But someone can correct me.
Yeah. But one of the biggest things is the Grey Knights have to continue to be known as uncorruptible. Yeah. So if there was something, They would just smoke it.
Matthew Smart asks, so what exactly is your viewpoint on some of the second founding legions, specifically the ones that do not have a defined Primark, like the Blood Ravens, Carcadons, etc.? Like, who do you believe they are descendants of? So this is interesting. So the Blood Ravens are, I mean, I have thousands of hours into Dawn of War. So not 3, that game sucked. But 1 and 2, 1's the better one. Even if you're looking for the titanium editions, really, really good because they did it up. But anyway, these guys, they're all likely some sort of bastardized founding. Carcadons, it's possible the Carcadons are a leave-over of a Traitor Legion. It is a very small possibility because they've never actually discussed what was done with the gene seed of the corrupted legions. At the end of the Siege of Terra, all we know is obviously the Traitor Legions left, but we still have all of their gene seed. Not all of it, but majority of their gene seed was sitting on Mars and on Terra. It is possible they're still making it. I could see it more likely when we covered the Blood Angels and we talked about, oh crap, Brad, what's the Blood Angels group that like they bathe in blood?
Flesh eaters or the bloody flesh tearers, blood drinkers. Blood drinkers is the blood drinkers.
Yeah, the blood drinkers, yeah, whatever they are. It's psychopaths. Sometimes they go a little bit outside, and that's an extreme, that one. I think it's more likely the Blood Ravens and the Carcadons and some of these guys, they're either, not Space Wolves, but they're one of the regular legions, but they just kind of did their own thing, and they've given themselves their own purpose in the galaxy, so they come off as different.
We didn't answer that very well, but yes.
Jordan, can you do a what if type cast? So what if the Emperor was to rise on the Golden Throne in modern 40k? What would it mean for each faction, the Primarchs, Chaos Gods, and Imperium itself?
Yeah, the answer is yes, because before every time if we're not having a sports, politics, the third thing that we do before we do a cast is we randomly talk about what ifs all the time. We could go off the deep end. The reason that we haven't done a ton of what ifs is because it's already pretty hard to herd Brad. I am basically a bunch of cats in a man suit. I'm very hard to corral. So yeah, if you give me a what if, I will go bananas.
Yeah, I mean it is. We do need to do some kind of I call them F around casts where we kind of just play with ideas. I think it'd be fun. More likely, it'll be stuff like this where we'll do some stuff video where we can kind of talk through ideas. It just makes life a little bit easier. But yeah, it's a very, very good idea, and I support it fully. Martin, why is Vastor only getting stronger right now in M41, considering it's a technological and industrial dark age? I thought only innovation fuels him. Also, considering he's basically he is Hashut from fantasy, do you think he'll be the patron god of Votan who turned to chaos? It would make sense considering they're very techy. Vashtor's, candidly, this is just a writing challenge. GW decided to add a new greater demon effectively to the game. He never existed before, and you're completely right. Should Vastor's highest power been the Age of Technology? Yeah, he should have been. But he just got out of the game a year and a half ago. So now as far as Votan go, that's interesting. Actually, I hadn't even considered it, candidly.
I mean, that's not bad. Also, you think that if Tau ever had a war presence, he would also be part of that. And
yeah,
you still have a lot of fringe technological stuff. It's just the Imperium tries to keep everything status quo. We're big. The whole setting is the Inquisition, and we're trying to stamp out everything. We've lost a lot of technology. We don't gain it because anytime anybody comes up with a new idea, it's heretical. They're basically making fun of a lot of things that we did. Way to go, humans. But there's still a lot going on in the fringes all the time. We just beat it up. Because even if you have super cool technology, but we just show up with all of the Imperial Guard, you're still going to lose. So,
Two fun questions I just saw in chat. So I guess I'm missing some of your stuff in chat. I'm kind of watching chat where we're going. One was, does Brad own any minis? Fun story. He's
really
got
a lot
up there, actually. I've got a bunch of his minis here. Brad does own some minis. Where they are, general Toledo-ish region.
even in the Lorecast, I have people coming in with the
Yeah.
having me. I'm a huge Ohio State fan, and in my other streams, I get super chats to just say "Go Blue," and that, and it's every time.
Yeah, we're not doing that here because I'm not saying go Cowboys. It's not happening. I'm an Eagles fan.
And I am a shameless seller. If you give me a couple dollars, I will say anything.
Nope. Nope. The other one I did like was someone asked 5-man dream team of Loyalists. So I'm doing non-Primarks. Who are the best 5 Loyalist non-Primarks? I'm going Eisenhorn. It's my number one. Gaunt.
Are we talking?
Just go anything but a Primark.
Do like power though? Those guys all get smoked by Marines.
Like most, no, not power. I would you can do whatever you want. I'm thinking about who are the if you're talking about a dream team. Like who are the ones you send these guys to do something. You're probably looking at actually Valdor. Oh wait, crap. Is it Valdor? Who's the Grey Knight?
What, Drago?
Drago's number one.
I mean, if you're gonna go with badasses, I've got to go back to Imperial Fist.
When they see, yeah.
Dude, Tor Garadon is a son of a bitch if you're looking for just individual dudes to beat the crap out of people. There's a reason that guy had a triple strength Thunderhammer.
Oh, that was great. Yeah. But also, I mean, but I also think like Eisenhorn's a really good one. Lord Solar is kind of lame. Who else is there that kind of just floats around in the Imperium? There's a bunch of randoms.
I mean, if you want to go video games on it though, like Titus came out. Titus is like in charge of doing all kinds of nut stuff.
Yeah,
they wrote him into a huge amount of
he's up there with the most loyal Space Marine. So yeah, there you go. There's a couple. Next one, Fred. The Night Lords are really good, guys. Hey, John and Brad, what do you think are the best and worst retcons to happen in 40k lore? I know Brad has the best.
When we had the scrotums,
the removal of the Zotes. The removal
Zotes
of the Zotes is Brad's
and I refuse to call them anything but scrotums.
Yeah, they are awful.
The dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, that made no sense. The Zotes, for those who don't know, the Zotes existed for 1 or 2 editions. They were a hybrid race that would work with the Tyranids, and they would communicate for the Tyranids with like humanity. Everyone hated them. They're gone now. I think the worst retcon. There's a bunch of these ones that I don't love.
Space Wolves teleporting and using psychic powers. They didn't do either one of those. They were afraid of teleporting, and they definitely wouldn't let any psychers, which is why they have rune priests. And I loved every part about it. They had great lore on that.
Yeah, there you go. Richard Hayes, at their peak, which Primark would have been the strongest in terms of fighting a series of 1-on-10? Fulgrim? Or Vulcan?
Oh, you're not against other Primarks?
Sanguinius, because at their strongest, at their peak.
Not like corrupted, though. Just when they're still loyal? No chaos power?
It says at their peak is all he went with. So however you want to do it.
Horus was by far the strongest Primark at his peak.
Like combat?
But because he was everything. He was juiced to the maximum.
Oh, you're talking about at the end?
At his peak.
I see. Because he did kill the Emperor. So yeah, we're going to have to go with it probably. Yeah, fair.
But I'm just saying, if you're going before corruption and or just, demon Primarch style, I guess, you know what I mean? It goes, it's a wildly different answer on this. Again, I could talk about this for like a long time. There's guys that were like fantastic duelers also. Dorn's a son of a bitch if you're just going pure of that.
Yeah.
Russ is bigger. If you're going dueling, it could, but I think if you're going like 1-on-10s kind of thing, Russ is a madman if you put a lot of people in front of him. He's an amazing fighter in pure chaos because he is like just crazy. The way he does things is chaotic. He's fantastic when he gets in groups and taking on stuff. Like he's just legendary for that.
Yeah, that's very true. Leman. Oof. All right, next one, Moonshiner. So what exactly did the Emperor get rid of? Why did the Emperor get rid of the Thunder Warriors entirely instead of keeping them alongside the Space Marines? Simple. They were crazy. They were out of their mind. Yeah.
I mean, they effectively almost had the nails. They had a shitty. Yeah, they had a shittier version of the Butcher's nails. They were psychos.
Yeah.
You couldn't take him anymore. He was. Those guys were just made for just straight combat. What he needed in the Marines were people that could actually be diplomats, take over, establish worlds. He would have to set fire to everything if he sent Thunder Warriors.
Yeah, the Thunder
They were
Warriors
no
just
good for him afterwards.
slaughtered anything and everything. Skyrip, do a cast in the Iterex. I left this in because I wanted to bring something up. This is a challenge we do have. Is there's a lot of books that are exceptional, and I'm trying to figure out ways to do casts on them, and not ruin them. Because like the Iterex are a really good example. The Iterex are a key part of one of the best books in the Black Library. So I'm always torn a little bit on like, do we do something like Gaunt's Ghost, for example? When we did our coverage of the Imperial Guard, we skipped over Gaunt and the Ghosts and the Tanith. The reason why is those books are so good that there's not a way for me to cover them and not spoil the entire book. So we're trying to figure that out right now, guys, just respectfully, because I want people to be able to experience these books and enjoy them. So that's the answer there. Anacro Butchism. This person asked 5 questions, and we're doing all of them. So the decree passive says that the ecclesiarchy cannot field men under arms, which is used as a loophole to allow the sisters of battle, since non-binary people also are not men. Could there be non-binary sororitas? Yeah. Simply put, yes. Easy. It's something that GW hasn't done yet, and that's more probably just because of the age of the game, but I could see them easily doing that. It's their choice. It's their business. Next question. IRC means something. One or both of you mentioned that you believe that there should be a good guy faction of some kind. While, reasons to my own ideas were to do that, why do you think there should be a good guy faction? Brad, you can talk about the Tau. You had that with the Tau.
Tau were originally good guys.
Yeah.
They were. It bugs me so much that they we should have done this in Retcon.
Yeah.
The Tau were originally the newest race, and they were the good guys. They came together. They were supposed to be what would have happened if all of humans could have come together as one. They were supposed to be that communal society. Everything was working. That's how they originally were, and I love that. You know what I mean? To have at least one good guy faction was great. And you also made them the least of the factions so that they couldn't, change everything that's going on. So it's still a dark, terrible place where there's only war. The Tau only have the ability to affect just a little bit of the thing or the little bit of the galaxy. So I love the idea of them being the good guys. I would like that with anyone. So it's just somebody to root for in a small way. Like it's like that plucky adventurer that's doing good, but he can't make a huge difference, but he can make a difference to this village or this town or these people. I love that idea.
I agree. And that's what we need. I just would like to have something I also just want to read the lore and feel good. Oh, good, we're winning now. Instead of like, also, this person's winning and it sucks.
Yeah. Also, I like it. I would have never got that right, if I remember correctly.
Question 3. He's not finished the Ynnari cast up, but Fulgrim has a new model with what appears to be the last Crone Sword. Do you think the Eldar will have a chance to actually finally get a major win, and with the help of the Imperium? The thing about the last Crone Sword is if the Ynnari get
I gotta get my chi together, bro.
Well, Brad's upset because... All right, so this is the challenge. Now, let me help Brad out here a little bit. They have, unfortunately, they just dropped the Ynnari timeline. Just hard dropped it. We were going and clipping along at a great pace, and then they went, and just dropped it. That being said, if the Ynnari get the last Crone Sword, then they actually might be able to kill Slaanesh. And it's like, it's one of these things where like they have to take the storyline to a certain point, and then once you get to that point, I don't know, guys. Like it feels like one of those areas where they could actually end the game accidentally. So I don't think they'll ever get the last Crone Sword.
Yeah, unless they're going to push on hardcore on that.
Yeah, you'd have to really push the lore forward. Last one. With going into Sturm and Drang of the fandom regarding the topic, GW making the business decision to give us female Space Marines at some point. I am open about this, my viewpoint on this one. I don't care. Just respectfully, I don't care. It would take a lot of rewriting on their part to do it, so I don't think they're going to.
Not worth it. You would anger too many people. Why? Just
the only way they could do it is if we were to bring back, in my opinion, the only way to do that would be to bring back one of the lost Primarchs, and that Primarch was female. and then you would have an all-female Space Marine faction. That's, to me, the only way to do it. I think they've written themselves into a corner on that one, and they don't have the ability to do it. But
they also have Sisters of Battle, and you've also got females in every other race. I mean, they're half the Eldar force is female warriors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
orcs are gender neutral. Yeah, I mean that's how it goes. But last one. If you were to decide narrative in the direction of the next edition of the game, what would you do? I think it's we actually kind of discussed this earlier. It's bring Leman back, and start kind of pushing into either. I want to see the next narrative. I want to see is I either want to see them pushing chaos back, like closing the rift would be
close
a really
the rift.
Cool thing.
That's where I was going to go when you're done. I was 100%.
Yeah, close the rift or figure out some way to push the Tyranids back. That would also make me really happy if they could figure out a way to push the Tyranids back into. They're not just all over the place.
Push it back and/or figure out why the Tyranids are doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? Move the Tyranid story along also with that.
This is a simple one. 40K Femboy asked about Black Templar. Yeah, it's coming. Be out in the next couple months. Simply put, we're doing Black Templar to be part of the Imperial Fistcast. We just have
some pretty cool characters too.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. Carmen San Diego. If the various legions entered battle like WWE wrestlers, who would have the best entrance music? Leman.
It's the Space Wolves, like by far. It's not even
close. Yeah, it's pure Leman.
Oh, yeah. He's just coming into Welcome to the Jungle.
The worst would be the word bearers. It would actually be serious.
Yeah, they would have like a real emo version of a classical music, but they would mess it up.
It'd be like an organ playing when they came out. Yeah, it'd be terrible.
Yeah, with Yoko Ono singing. Yeah. So, boo. That is true. World leaders don't know it's an organized fight. They would attack everybody backstage.
Right, so this is a fun one. If you're making so from Mark asked, if you're making a chess set, Loyalist versus Traitor chess set, which pieces be on the board?
First two are super easy. The kings are the Emperor and Horus, like hands down. After that, though, you can go pretty easy because I'm going to do
Sanguinius. It'll be Sanguinius for the Loyalists.
But Sanguinius and who? Because Abaddon would have to be the.
No, Abaddon wasn't that powerful then. It would be.
It doesn't. I mean, right? He's pulling the shots for Castro, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're right. I guess it would be. And then it gets kind of goofy after that.
Yeah, I mean, you get Perturabo and Rogal would both be rooks for sure.
Yeah.
And then you've got.
I don't play chess.
Yeah. I know. I'm just saying pieces on it.
Yeah.
I'm going with who they would be on that. So
yeah, I mean, your pawns are just going to be your standard Space Marines. You're probably going to have the knights are going to be. I mean, I would actually probably just go with Horus. I might pull it down a little bit where I would have stuff like the rooks instead of being Primarchs. I would actually do the rooks for the Imperium would be Custodes. Or actually, probably the knights would be Custodes.
Jagana Khan. Come on, you have to have the knights as Jagana Khan as one of the knights.
He's so useless. Next one, Amara. Just a cast idea. Would it be possible to have a deeper dive into the founding of the Astartes chapter after the Codex came out? Also more about the process of creating a new chapter. Yeah, we need to do that. We actually need to spend some time talking about second founding, how the second foundings happened. Now that we've covered Gilliman coming back, it's actually a bit more fun to do because we can talk about all the second foundings and all the ways that Gilliman is now effectively undoing all the second foundings. And Carl.
He full on wrote the Codex Astartes and then threw it in the fire as soon as
he got back and went, yeah, that's no. We're unifying.
He's like, this is a good book, but I need all of my stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, but isn't that exactly the opposite of what you wrote down? He's like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing that anymore.
Jacob, who exactly are the Watchers in the Dark? No one technically knows. I'm going to keep banking on, I think they're like good Nurglings.
I love the fact that you have that. You make Dark Angels people so mad when you say that.
But it's true. I mean, they're a small diminutive being that definitely has warp power. They're able to create a pocket dimension. Like, they've got massive warp power. I mean, I guess right. Nurglings are not very intelligent, but they are. They're very, very small, good demons. That's kind of what I view them as. I guess they also could be just some super race that's incredibly warp touched. But the way that they were able to, pardon me, heal the lion and do all that stuff makes me feel a bit more like, positive demons.
Watches
All right,
the dark and just clones of
Mark.
bread.
Oh,
I like that.
this
I,
question
I,
is
I
gonna be
like everything about that one.
this question is gonna be fun for me. All right, if a space marine eats something to learn its memories, which they basically can't do, but it died of poison, does a space marine get poisoned? And as the organs don't work at all. Also, if they eat a Tyranid, do they get access to the memories of other Tyranid due to the hive mind?
I'm
This
gonna
whole
throw shit at my
concept,
own screen.
yeah, huh?
One, Space Marine shouldn't be able to be poisoned. It's so stupid.
Yes.
They have multiple organs to filter out poison. They're wearing a sealed suit of power armor, which also has multiple filters in it. It's so dumb they get poisoned.
Night Fight was dumber.
Ah!
Night Fight was
Knife
worse.
fight was dumber.
Night Fight was dumber.
That is true.
But this is something that like your question is dead on. Like should they be able to gain the genetic memories? Yes.
Yes.
Can they?
But they should also be
No.
wrecked if they would, the way that the original organs were done. If they would have ate something from a Tyranid, they would have got access and then probably just been wrecked by it, because the hive mind would just obliterate you if you
I guess
connected
it's
to
possible. Yeah, the hive mind would just reach in and just melt your brain.
it instantly. It's so powerful.
Ted, which Space Marine Legion chapters are closest to the Xeno factions, such as Space Wolves and Space Marines? Are Space Marine orcs? I think what you're saying is from a play style. Yeah, I mean the game. So the thing about Warhammer is there's only so many ways to play it, so you end up a lot of overlap. So if you've got like an Iron Hands who tend to use a lot of vehicles and a lot of shooting, they're pretty similar to Admech and Devotan. You know, you have Space Wolves who are very melee focused. They're gonna line up with my orcs, which are over there. They're gonna line up with
Different Tyranid builds.
Yeah,
Tyranid can be
models,
any. It's one of the
warriors.
reasons that Tyranids are a cool army, by the way. Random thing on the bonus for Tyranids, because you can play them any way you want, and it's also very lore specific because they adapt.
Yeah.
They would do a better job in the game right now of the different chapters and the different high fleets having actual specific rules. It'd be cooler though.
Yeah, but just to give you a quick kind of rundown, yeah, like Imperial Fists are probably closest. I think to Votan would be the other one that kind of lines up closer with Votan because they do a lot of heavy weapons. You know, not very movement centric. White Scars are probably closer to Eldar. Eldar's tough, or maybe even closer to probably Slanesh Demons. If I'm being honest, because there's the speed they move at.
It's fast.
Yeah, just fast. Because basically the game comes down to you're tough, you're fast, you're good at shooting, you're good at punching. Am I missing anything? Like from like a new coach, from like a basics of the game. It's kind of what you lean.
It goes into, there's multiple ways you want to play the game. Some people are very fast and fragile. Some people are very fast and hit hard. There's people that have lots of models and trash. You know, there's a lot of them just relate to how you want to build it. Like for instance, I'll give you Alan gives me shit because he says that every single army I've ever made is just Eldar wearing a different mask of some other army.
Yeah,
He's not wrong.
That's accurate. That's accurate. Our next one, Jujugan. What is one thing you don't like about your favorite faction from both a tabletop and lore standpoint? I'll let Brad go with that one first. It's Eldar, because go ahead.
It's Eldar. Right now, it bothers me quite a bit that we're not carrying the story forward and that the craft worlds do not have specific rules. We have detachment rules. I love the new book. It's very fun on the table, but it's hard to make your army very flavorful right now. And they've done this with other factions. Right now, I think that they're hitting it out of the park with the 4 Chaos books that they put out. Very flavorful, play like the stories do. Right now, Eldar is a very fun army to play, but I don't like the fact that they don't give them craft world specific rules, and everything's very vanilla. You don't have a lot of ability to make an army your own.
Yeah. And I'll expand on that quite a bit because Minor Orcs obviously is my favorite faction by a wide margin. And I love them, but I don't like the lore on orcs a lot because it seems to be the issue I have with orc lore is they should be this unending horde moving through the galaxy, just conquering lands, and they just tend to be almost the comedy troupe of it, which in some ways is fun, but also is other times where I'm like, Really? Like when Gaz does his invasions, it shouldn't really be able to be slowed down. That's that one. The bigger
Yeah. Well,
complaint I have is
they use the orcs though for other people's stories all the time is the
yeah,
biggest problem.
that's my issue with them. On the tabletop, my issue with orcs is exactly the same problem Brad has. I miss my I miss my factions. Like right now, sustained one is in melee is fine, but even the strats don't feel that gothy to me. Um, that's my thing. Like I would like to see we had other editions. 8th and ninth were good editions. We really could lean into certain things. So yeah, that's my complaint on them. Next one, Wyatt the Heretic Smiting Templar. When's a Black Templar coming out? Give me a month or two. Probably within 2 months. August Delph. Do you think Alpha Legion should get a full army and a Primark? And would they be a Chaos faction? First part, they technically do have a full army because you can paint things however you
Yeah.
want.
I want them. I like a couple of my things to stay mysterious. And I love the idea that you don't know which of the brothers is still alive. Did they turn to chaos? Were they always kind of sleeper loyalist? Where are they? What are they doing? I love that in that gray area.
Yeah.
I like to keep some things kind of in the dark on that.
I think
That's just my jam.
I agree. I think if Alpha Legion, to bring Alpha Legion back, you're going to have to do some very serious Black Library writing. You really need to kind of add a lot of stuff of, is Alpharis or Omegong still alive? If so, what are they? And I think it could be cool. They could bring them back more, in my mind, as a... so I got to mute the channel real quick. They can bring them back as a, how it says, well, like in between Chaos and Loyalist, like just a chaotic neutral faction. I think it'd be cool. They could be really, really fun where they're actually working to truly undermine Chaos. Could be kind of the thing. So they're actually really the good guys, but they're doing a lot of horrible things to achieve good guy status. Next one is...
Like it.
Mayor Mayhem. What are the cults specifically? What are the cults specifically? Prometheus for Salamander and their successor chapters. Brad.
All the they have like a billion successor chapters though.
Yeah, I don't know them as well as Brad does. So
I
unfortunately,
mean, I know a couple of them. It's just, I mean, my focus on their lore and playing them is their primary. Yeah. You know what I mean? I played some of their successor chapters in previous editions actually, because you used to be able to build your own successor chapter. You got to used to be able to choose 2 of like 20 different traits for your successor chapters. So like I only know like some of the lore on that, and I super nerded it up because back in the day you used to get points for your theme for an overall score. So you had to come up with, what are your own things and your guys and stuff like that. So I did a lot of that. But if I was playing it recently, when I play Salamanders, I focus a lot on the prime, like, Vulcan Hestan, Adrax and stuff like that. With the lore on that.
Next one is Andrew Romero. Who and what are the Shark Space Marines and or the Kraken Space Marines? I mispronounce these guys a lot. I've already had the chat tell me it's not Carcadons, which I think it is, but whatever. Carcharodons. Thank you. There we go. So we don't know. Same with the Kraken Space Marines. What these guys, they're one of the mysteries of the 40K universe. They appear randomly. We'll do a cast on them. They will appear randomly and always fight on the side of the Loyalists, but we don't know who their founding chapter is. We don't know much about their organization. They just kind of exist. Next one, Matt asked the top 5 cavalry units power ranking. It's all power ranking 0. Simple.
Why would you even put that question in here? You hate all cavalry.
I will be perfectly honest. I don't see the purpose of cavalry. World War One, the Charge of Light. Actually, before World War One was the Charge of the Light Brigade. No, we're not having cavalry when we have
Thunderwolf cavalry.
Yeah, they have tanks.
Thunderwolf cavalry are way up there. You've got Blood Crushers, which are cavalry. I mean, they're all mounted now with their keyword, but they are cavalry. Awesome. You've got Slanesh Riders. Really? You don't think guys coming out of the warp, chopping people's heads off, ripping
You're going to
tanks in
run a
half?
course at this?
I'm gonna run blood crushers at this.
Yep.
I'll put a power fist right down the barrel of that gun. I'll
If you
soccer
get
toss that
to
thing.
it, that's more my point. There's this thing called distance.
Yeah, and there's things
I hate
called
cavalry.
walls and obscuring terrain. I'll hide. I'll sneak out. Boom! Give them the 1-2-7. Let's do this.
No.
I'm punching that tank to death. That's
right.
happening.
As a newbie, how do I go about creating a well-rounded list? I prefer to just figure things out myself, but with the cost involved, it's probably best to know what I want beforehand. All right, so this is a really, really, really good section. The advice I give everyone on Warhammer is this hobby is expensive as F. Just calling it what it is. I collect. That's what I've done. I've been lucky in life too, so I've been able to do it. You can say this is like what you're seeing behind me is less than 10% of my collection. The advice I tell everyone is buy stuff you think looks cool and build it up. Over time, almost all models in the game get good, with two exceptions: airplanes and big stuff. The Stompa, the Gorgot, and the Morgonaut have never been good.
Airplanes are stupid.
Yeah.
I hate them.
But if you just buy stuff, like there's a Bellicor right there. Bellicor has been hot garbage and absolutely amazing in the last 3 years. So buy what speaks to you and do it that way.
Yeah, but if you want to play, it depends how competitive you want to be also, because if you want to have a competitive army and get into it, you want to figure out what style you like. Do you like sitting back and shooting? Do you want to be aggressive? Because getting into making a well-rounded army, you're going to need speed. You effectively need to be able to score points. You need to be able to get places, and you need to be able to punch/shoot people to death.
Yeah, but just really, you want to have you want to have some movement. You want to have some action. You want to have some shooting. I see a bunch of people in chat who give me grief about cavalry. Nope, cavalry's dumb. Like, what my point about cavalry is, like, I'm not saying mobility's dumb, but armored personnel carrier or hovercraft that can fly, good. Guys sitting on top of large wolf, yelling and running towards a bane.
Sounds awesome.
Doesn't end well. Just pull up All Quiet in the Western Front or what was the Mel Gibson movie?
They did not have storm shields and thunder hammers in their hands, though.
Yeah, but they did have artillery, which I know you don't like playing, but I do. All right, Brandon King, not that guy. Hey guys, really big fan of the podcast. Love your work. I was curious if you have any suggestions or advice for training I could access to get into tabletop 40K. Perhaps an email address he could inquire at.
Go to the Discord now.
So
I had to abandon that.
So someone did recommend for and I forgot who did this. Someone recommended, we have it in their Discord. Someone says merchandise I'd like to see. Someone said like a hoodie with Brad's email address on it.
That was one of my worst ideas ever, was to yell my email out.
Yeah.
My email got hacked and bombed.
Yeah.
It is just full of nonsense. If I want like herbal Viagra or anything,
it's all there.
I know where to go. It's all there in my email.
Right. Next one, Adrian Miranda. How closely do best practices on tabletop correlate to real-life military tactics? Meaning, would a pincer movement, fake retreats, and inverse delta formations help bring success? In a military history nerd, and planning on building my first tabletop army soon. Sorry,
100%.
They don't know.
No, you're gonna poo on that, but yes, no. As somebody that wins most of the time, you do
fake retreats.
Yes. I pull people in. I basically make them come out so that if they're going to see something, they're going to go in. You've also got reactive moves in the game. You've got the ability to stage and make people. I always say this. You're asking so many questions that you basically have your opponent get them wrong. So you're looking at ways to set up to put them in positions that you want them to. And that is real life military tactics.
It's
not exactly. No. So much
Overwatch,
no.
And always Overwatch.
Just roll sixes. Yeah, there you go.
Roll sixes. Just roll sixes. One of those issues. Yeah,
God damn it.
The issue is like it's a matter of, I mean, if you're talking about, if you really do care about like military tactics, this is a 5-round game. So military tactics are meant for more protracted than that. So it's similar, like for example, there is pincer movements can be very good if you build the right army for it. But it's not. There's a correlation, but it's not perfect. Is how I describe it. Also, someone pointed out, Brad, and asked, "Did you say the sacred litany for your email?" Maybe that'll bring it back.
I went through like a lot of steps to recover that email, and then I was just like, I should have not bothered.
420. Why not have them in the game? Player disputes. Oh, it's about laser pointers. So actually, laser pointers. So people adds another level of tactical play, offensive and defensive. I think
People use laser pointers all the time.
Yeah, people use them all the time. We use it's actually
All the time.
I carry them with me at all times. The issue with player disputes, one of the challenges of Warhammer is less about the moment you're doing something. It's more the lead up to that moment. This is a game.
Explain what you're doing before.
Well, exactly. You're moving stuff around. You're using a ruler to do a non-linear move. There's a bunch of little things in the game. So that's where the player disputes tend to come into that. A lot of interpretation. So, for example, my Be'lakor here has a lot of crap hanging off of him. So if I can see this little bit here, is he visible? Now GW has helped us in more recent times to make the rules cleaner about this. But for a very long time, this was the question. If I can see this, can I see him? Or do I have to see this? This was just kind of the way the game is. And, we're working through it as a player base. It's just part of a game.
Well, it's walking through stuff.
Yeah.
I will, you know what? I'm going to give my email one more time, just so I'll tell you how. And John, this is why you always heard John sighing, because when I gave the old man Brad 40K at gmail.com, I did all of those hand gestures you just saw, usually worse, every single time I did it.
Yeah. All right, Deep Cheeks. Are there any forms of content you guys are creating? Yeah, we're going to branch into YouTube over the course of the summer with we want to do some more interviewing type things. Is the idea? Talk about some of the more history of the game. Not from a lore standpoint, but from actually a tabletop standpoint. It's an idea. We have a couple other areas that we're playing around with just to kind of expand it out. We enjoy doing this, so see what we can do. Next one. Charles, who does Brad hate more, Rogal, Dorn, or Lords of Terra? That's easy.
Lords of Terra. It's not even close.
Yeah, exactly.
I like talking shit about Rogal Dorn, but Rogal Dorn is a bad dude. The Lords of Terra have been a turd on a stick on fire from the very beginning, and I hate them, and they make me physically angry to talk about them.
So what are your favorite comments left by viewers? There's been a bunch of these. I just enjoy it in the morning. Some of them have been just like when we did the AdMech episode, people kept writing 0100110. That just made me laugh. There's a lot of like, wow. What I did like was, I think we were 50 episodes in. We hadn't done Tau yet. It ended up being like the week before we announced we were doing Tau. And someone went through onto every single cast and said, please do a Tau episode, which just takes work. And I was impressed. But there's been some really funny ones where people, I also like the ones people just tell me I got stuff wrong. Some very good Monty Python references. Some of my favorite pieces I actually get in comments are actually when people tell me I missed an easy joke. Those are always really good ones. Drives me nuts, but it's still great. Next one, Dylan, which I love how that's spelled. Have either of you been to Warhammer World in UK? So what were your thoughts? I have not. Brad, have you been?
I haven't.
Right.
I've been I've been to 40 different countries to play 40K, and somehow I don't go to there. I'm probably going to go there. Health permitting, I'm going to be there in the next 2 years because I have a lot of friends in and around all of there that offer me to stay. You know what? I don't really like your tone. You know what I mean? I don't like that at all.
I love the cast, and I'm wondering if you guys do too. Yeah, this thing's fun as shit. Respectfully, I would have bailed in this thing. This eats up quite a lot of hours of my life. I would have. No, this thing's fun as hell. Yeah.
Answer the question of the thing. What's your favorite jiu-jitsu submission?
What?
Because you know that my favorite, and you think it's stupid.
Well, that's coming later. So that's coming. Someone actually asked that question. Someone asked it in chat. Straight arm luck.
Yeah.
Candidly, straight arm luck. It's lazy. It's simple. It's done. But I have. Yeah, I've been
my favorite, and you keep telling me I'm an idiot for loving it.
What?
Darce choke.
Darce choke. Can you even do it? Your arms are too short.
Kind of. I mean, you just come in and grab underneath.
It's impossible. You have to make this. You have to make this.
You
No.
go under the armpit and go
Yeah, you
in.
have to go under. You have to go in between this gap here with one arm, which you're not long enough to do, and then grab your other armpit. And
Just squeeze.
are you fighting a child? Like, this sounds illegal.
Look, you put me in a room with children, I'm Darth choking
Yeah.
people.
Takedowns. So I wrestled for a long time too. So I actually I do a low single. That's actually my go-to. Because people hate it. So I'm actually there's some more jiu-jitsu questions I think coming later. Next one. How did you all meet, and what did you want to do the podcast? I'm gonna do this one because it's actually funny to me, and it makes Brad. So Brad and I have only known each other for maybe 4 years, 5 years, somewhere in that realm. We actually met when I moved to Michigan. We'd met. I think we may have met at a tournament before, but nothing, and we just became friends pretty quickly. I liked him, and I was telling Brad for a while that he should do a podcast on the 40K lore. And after a year and a half or 2 years of telling him to do it, and him failing miserably at making that happen, I literally went, F it, come over to my house this Friday. And I bought microphones, and we recorded behind me. That's how the podcast went. And truthfully, I expect we will keep doing this podcast until Brad dies. Which is, you know.
I love that. I do love. There's two things that are going on with my friends who are all dicks, which is fantastic. One, my buddy Alan, who I do another thing with, and John both have said they're going to replace each other on our respective casts.
Yeah.
Two, the 40K community around here is already talking about the Brad Chester Memorial, which they want to run while I'm still alive.
Yeah, just makes it easier. We plan ahead. Next one. How did you guys meet and become friends? Just covered that. Yeah. So Brad and I, we met, we started talking, and we kind of really just liked each other. And just, that's how you make friends. That's what Warhammer is. You go to Warhammer events. And it's why I encourage people to go to events. You go to a store, there will be people there you don't like. There will be. But for the most part, you're somewhere where people have a commonality, and there'll be hundreds of people there at big events, or even just dozens of smaller events.
Go to the bigger events though. Like, you don't even have to play, man. Just there'll be somebody that has your vibe. I mean, the thing is that you're sitting around with a bunch of people that have common interest. You'll find somebody that you've got a mojo with, and you'll just talk to them. I mean, and people are looking to talk. You can get anybody yapping for. I mean, shit. I don't even know how we started talking about fighting. And then it turned into other sports and 40, you know what I mean? It was just, there's so many people that have common interest about whatever there. Just sit down and yap. I mean, I am broken, so I basically find a chair, and then eventually a circle sits around me because they know I'm not going to move because I'm feeble. And then we start talking about everything under the sun.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We talk about Warhammer. We're going to talk about, I'll usually talk about jiu-jitsu. We'll talk about sports. I mean, whatever comes up, whatever people want to talk about, people talk about. And that was the goal. That's where this cast came from. This is how we talk about Warhammer lore. We would sit around and this is kind of fun. And we made a cast based off of all the conversations we would have at game stores and tournaments. Next one. Peter Kirkland, is there any news of meet and greet and birthplace of Warhammer in the UK? Well, Brad did finally get a passport, so that's going to help him. I'll be in UK next month.
I've had a passport for 30 years.
And then,
I was about to say it wasn't my fault. It was 100% my fault.
Yeah, it wasn't my fault.
I let my passport.
Yeah,
I let it expire, and then I had to go through quite a bit of hoops. Yeah. But I've got this up right now because on gov.plus it says that I'm 14 of 16 steps done, and I just have to get my last little thing.
I just enjoy the fact that Spaceballs turned on behind me. I support that. So yeah,
going to Plaid.
I actually would like to get over to the UK to play Warhammer. I think it'd be fun as hell. The guys at Tabletop Tactics have a really cool setup down in Bath that I would love to go out there and check out. I respect those guys. They're actually one of the ways that got me into the game. When I came back into it, their content's just exceptional. I cannot recommend them enough to people.
I'm also wearing one of our things, and I want you to point that out, please.
Good job. Can you move the coaching info and the most long-winded beginning stuff into the casts? Yeah. So actually, this is a really good criticism that we've gotten from a few people. You're gonna notice in the newer casts, the openings have been shortened quite a bit. There was too much there, so a few people have made a comment, and we are going to shorten it down to try and get into the cast a little bit quicker. Just that we're going to let the links kind of do the magic there. Oh yeah, what is your question? Someone wrote this. I took me a second. Someone actually wrote your name. What is your question? And I just liked it, so I left it in.
You're a
PS1
weirdo.
Hagrid, very spends a lot of time in our Discord, and I couldn't appreciate you more for doing it. What do Chaos Primarks do when they're not waging war in the Imperium? Like, do they have hobbies other than killing? So, fun story on this. We actually know this from Fulgrim. Fulgrim just likes to hang out in his. So Fulgrim is one of my favorites in this, and we're actually doing the Fulgrim casts right now. They're being recorded as we go through. Fulgrim sits in his Chaos planet and remakes old battles he used to do to see if he could do them better. Like that's just
He
what he
also
does.
he's also a connoisseur of the arts.
Yeah,
He
he's also
has
doing
he's
that.
a,
Yep, more.
he literally patrons. He's a Patreon of multiple people, whether they want to do it or not. He's kidnapped quite a few people. And if you don't do something he doesn't like, you get tortured quite a bit. So do it better next time.
Hold on.
Mortarion pouts a lot.
Yeah,
A
well,
lot.
Mortarion rebuilt his original planet. So yeah, 100%. And so they all, I think, I mean, Angron just that does. Angron just basically stews in the warp until he's allowed to go back into the Materium and then goes and stabs things.
He's like a full demon on that.
Magnus is a little bit odd.
Magnus actually is plotting like a madman on the tower. So,
But so is Ahriman. So, next one is 420 Alpha Legion. Is it plausible that Alfarius is neither traitor or loyalist to the Imperium? That they are one of the few in the universe who are legitimately following the actual will of Big E, since he clearly has foreseen the events and things to come, i.e., speaking directly to Call through the memories of someone they soul merged with thousands upon thousand years ago. Is everything currently going to be Big E's plan coming to the universe? This is, we've talked about this earlier, this is a really good point about Alfarius. Alfarius may be independent, is kind of the term I would use for him, where holding true to the original beliefs of the Emperor and trying to bring salvation to the Imperium through the original Imperial truth is entirely possible.
it's a big fan theory is that Alfarius is, because of the fact that he was on Terra in the beginning with all of it, is holding true to the original what the Emperor wants, whether he's being communicated or not, or he's just trying to do what he thinks is what the Emperor would want. There's a lot of fan fiction on that.
Yep.
And it's pretty cool, actually.
Jackson asks, what happens to the shards of Magnus? I can get you one. I mean... oh, look. A shard of Magnus. Like, that's what happened to the shards of Magnus. Magnus is, the Magnus that we know at the tabletop, is a shard of Magnus. That's, so each, so which is why technically you can, it's the only, when you play Thousand Suns against Thousand Suns and both people have a Magnus, it's the only time that actually does make sense in the lore. Because technically it could be two shards of Magnus fighting each other. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, the shards of Magnus are, each of them is Magnus. Now, if you were to get them all back together, one of them you're never going to get back together because he got consumed to make a Grey Knight. But if you were to get them all back together, you could, in theory, bring Magnus all the way back, although he's powered enough as it is.
That was the best quote. Magnus was told to do nothing, and he did that wrong.
Yeah. Alex Beaumont Dark. I've only been to the hobby for 6 months or so. At that time, I've never had a negative experience in person in the hobby, which is good for you. So much I took a part-time job at a local Warhammer shop in my area. However, online, it's largely a horror show, with the exception of your Discord and one Facebook group. Female Space Marine Custodes. All right, rather than read all this, I'm just going to tell you, the reason we made the Discord was something called DACA that Brad and I used to have to deal with back in the day. Reddit gets pretty rough, too.
People are shit online. That's why.
You will have, I'm going to be candid, you will have bad experiences playing the game. Every one of us has. Every one of us has played the game against someone who is light years unpleasant, cheating. These will happen. They're extremely rare. Like 5%, 1%, depending on what community you're in. But they will occur. Online, this game gets a lot rougher. And it's because there's a lot of gatekeeping, etc. So when we made our Discord, there's a few Facebook groups that are the same way, that do a good job of moderating it. And I know people don't always love moderating, and I get that. But the reason we do it, just so everyone understands, is it's because this is something that Brad and I have watched descend into nightmares. DACA was just endless flaming. Like you put a question, the people who are genuinely new to the game. Hey, what do people mean Magnus did nothing wrong? And you get 55 responses of why are you so stupid?
Yeah, just find your good places to stay
Yeah.
with them. That's really where I am on that.
Yeah.
The internet's full of douches.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
It just is what it is.
Period.
And so I'm glad you guys like our Discord. It's why we push it so much, is because we want it to be a positive community. I will say though, yeah, but that being said, if you're a new player and you go and you play the game, you say, hey, I had a really bad experience, just change stores. It is very, very rare. Usually when you have a bad experience, it's usually a bad store, and there's not very many of them. So, next one, Ian, what did the Tau ever do to you? Shield drones. Tau did shield drones to me. That's what they did. 8th edition shield drones. That's what they did.
Terrible, terrible rule. Savior protocols were one of the worst rules. It's 7th edition. That's its own thing. No, outside honestly, of 7th edition, that was the worst.
It was a combo. It was shield drones, and also when you put we put the Riptide in the second story, because because the way it worked before,
it's all shield drones.
Well, but also I couldn't fight up. So the way it worked before was we was all player placed terrain. So if I had a base that was like this big, and I put it on a second story building where the base hung over, I could not charge this model. All I could do was shoot. It was impossible to charge the model. And Tau players abused that to the end of the earth, and then there were shield drones. So yeah, that's what the Tau did to me. Fancy pint when you're in the UK? Yeah, sure. Message me on Discord. I'm around. I mean, it's I'll be in London and then Norfolk Coast. That's where I'm going. Garrett V, of all the tournaments and different matches you played, what is your personal favorite, most enjoyable army to play on a tabletop? Brad?
I like playing Eldar.
It's always Eldar, yeah.
Quite a bit. That's why I keep coming back to them. I just like their style. You answer that. I wanted to show our merchandise, but I'm also 1,000 degrees right now, so I'll be 1 second.
All right, Brad's melting. To me, it's orcs. The reason I love playing my orcs, respectfully, is orcs give everyone a good player experience. Even when I was playing the Daka list recently, which was a little bit rough for opponents, the thing about orcs is everyone gets to kill stuff when you play orcs. So I get a good game, my opponent gets a good game. Even if I'm just absolutely rumple stomping somebody, they're getting to kill models, which is cool. They're getting to engage and play the game. And to me, that's the most important part of this. So I love playing orcs on tabletop. Cole, John, how do you balance 40K in the rest of your life? Painting, gaming, reading. Whew.
You already did that.
Yeah, it is. Again, it's just if Brad dies, just give him Fabius Bile. He'll be fine.
No,
you may get referred there next. That might be your next referral. Candidly, guys, it is.
If Fabius Bile shows up at my house, God damn it, nothing good happens to those guys.
No,
take this.
Nothing does. Stop getting ablations.
I just said I had to send Scott over my drug things, and he's like, "Oof, you take a lot of medicines."
So what I would say is balancing your life and playing this game is one of the great challenges, just like anything in this world. And what I would say about it is it's just time management, for lack of a better phrase. I find hours here and there to get stuff done. Like writing the episodes, I usually will write for an hour or two, and then I'm done. Audio, I've had to move to audiobooks more recently from a reading standpoint because I travel for work. So that allows me to kind of catch up and learn stuff that way. It is, but yeah, it's just candidly. Brad, do you do anything other than 40K? Civilization, that kind of stuff?
I do a shit ton of games. I'm at the gym. Too much for what my doctors would like. Yeah. I should just be walking apparently. But I do a ton of just other games. Yeah. I do a ton of gaming. I do a wild amount of. I'm a huge weird history buff. So again, just don't sleep. You got tons of time to do everything.
All right,
sleeping's
Space
bad
Badger.
for it.
What are some guest stars you'd like to get as the show grows? We're actually working on that right now. There's some people that I want to get on for a separate show we're going to have. Not so much lore based. The truth is, having a
we're getting Henry Cavill.
Yeah, obviously, but that's not coming. I mean, believe me, if Henry Cavill's
it's coming.
My wife and all of her friends are going to visit.
We have so many guest hosts this time.
What's happening? Why are people outside? Yeah, Jesus. that man is handsome. Um, but yeah, I think what we're actually looking at doing is adding some more video content that'll more align with that. Some guests around it. It's more people to discuss. We don't necessarily need more hosts for the lore, but for stuff like history and to explain the story behind the game, that's where I'm more interested. So we'll see though.
And tournaments and how the game continued. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff with that. Yep. And
Noah,
yes.
aka
Next.
Daddy's Pizza Rolls. How did you guys get into 40K? And if you had to guess how much money you spent on the hobby since you started, Brad, you go ahead, and then I'll do mine.
Oh God. I got in reading the lore in the late 90s, and then I had my first open heart in 2000, so I couldn't go anywhere. And I wanted to know what the hell people were doing. So I just got dropped off. My wife would drop me off at the store, and I started playing, and then I got super competitive because that's what I do with everything I do. And so I started playing in competitive, and then I've been playing and winning GTs since 2000.
Yeah.
So
And then Brad has not spent as much money on it as I have because he's the master of Borrow Hammer.
true story.
Yeah. I started playing in around 1991. I had a friend who had it. I'd never heard of the game in my life. And he's like, hey, I bought all these models and no one will play with me. And I went, I would love to do that. We had Eldar, Space Marines. I think there was a third fact, and Tyranids. We would play.
Also, you spent so much money on the fact that you need to have all of everything for you to play.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk about how much money I've spent because it's not important, Brad. But I do own 11 factions, and I own over 60,000 points of Warhammer stuff. So I've got a lot.
So much more than that. So much more.
What's
than
60? I do know. I mean, it's 60. It's 60,840 something according to my last check in points. So yeah, I can effectively field 30 armies at one time.
I have a weird amount of stuff that I actually own, but it all looks terrible.
Yeah, but actually, to be fair though, I stopped playing the game for 15 years. Actually, no, Jesus, almost 20 over 20
I was say
years.
it's 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah,
Over 20 years I
you
stopped playing. That's because I was a child. I was born in 81. So I was when I got into kind of like late middle school, I tried playing
baby.
more. And well, I don't sure says the guy who was nearing death. But I walked away from the game because I didn't like the rules. The issue with the early eras of Warhammer, and people will tell you who played back then, was there was a lot of argument and there was a lot of bullying, unfortunately, and I just didn't really feel like dealing with it, so I walked away. But I kept, reading the lore, playing the video games, and all that kind of stuff. And then 8th edition came out, and in 8th edition they got rid of armor rating, and I hate armor rating.
They changed the community quite a bit, though, too. The Euros did a good job on that.
That's true, yeah. So armor rating was something where you had, we're live in biz, it's easier. Basically, the front of your tank had one armor rating, the side had a different one, and the back had a different. The reason this would be an issue is someone would shoot your tank, and they weren't near each other. And there would be an endless argument about what part of the tank they were shooting. This was stupid. The concept was good. The function was impossible. And so when they removed that, plus a few other pieces, I came rocketing back into the game. First time it was actually Necrons I came back with. So,
I mean,
Jetty.
I'll go to the side. Let me go to the side real quick because it goes into that question
go,
you
yeah.
just asked. One of the guys asked, what's your favorite edition? It's either end of 9th or 4th edition.
9th. I mean, hands down. Well, I also didn't play in 4th, but I think 9th edition was the most balanced and most fun version of the game I think we've played.
4th edition had a lot of problems, but it had so much customization in your armies and your units and stuff that I like that quite a bit.
That's fair. Jetty asked, what are your favorite 40K books? We covered this earlier, but I can do it again real quick. Eisenhorn series for me, Infant Divine, Gaunt's Ghost, and of course I actually the first 4 books of the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I just go with the original trio on that. Aramon books, Conrad the Night Hunter. We already talked about this. Next. Snake.
We're almost there. Andrew Z. I know in the beginning there was some Magic the Gathering content, but I was curious how you both got in and decided to start a podcast, even if it was Warhammer in the beginning. Answer this already, but just, basically, if you play Warhammer a lot and you go to a lot of events, you will sit around talking about Warhammer, and that was kind of what bred this. That's where we did. Magic the Gathering, I
So
haven't
you-
played since the original version, and I went to go play it again and was horrified at how complex it is and left.
I mean, to be fair, our first episode was John just telling me to come over,
Yeah,
and we went and ate lunch, and he just put a microphone in front of me
and notes
and
on the
went,
TV, and we went, oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
and literally notes on the TV, and we just went, we're just doing this. The thing that I keep telling you to do that you haven't done, well, we're doing it right now today. And I was like, yeah, okay, I
easy.
guess we're doing this.
Joe Smith, how does a Warhammer player such as yourself manage to get into a happy marriage? Um, well, Brad's.
I was like, this is more for you.
I know. I was about to give Brad some shit. I mean, Brad gets into a marriage. I'll give him that one. No, it's like I don't know, guys. I'm a turbo nerd, but I just am what I am. The truth is, I also married a mechanical engineer. As part of it, my wife has a undergrad and a master's degree in mechanical engineering, so that helps. We'll skip Brad's marriage advice. All right, Sam Brosh. I would love to have a whole episode about how Brad and John got into Warhammer. Nothing too elaborate, something simple. First armies. We could do this. What's the first piece of Warhammer lore you remember? First time you considered yourself a Warhammer fan?
We do this in a cast. There's a lot of talk about this because my original.
Yeah, we could have some fun with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that because there's a lot of stuff because I was pretty competitive in a bunch of other like card games and stuff like that. So when I first got, especially when I was around 40K for a while, it was more lore. I owned some stuff, but like I wasn't playing. And when I got into the game, serious, everyone was so wildly excited to beat the shit out of me in something that I didn't know how to do. So that's how I felt. My first 6 months was me getting finishing moved off the top rope for people that were super pumped to go, yeah, you're not as good at this as you were at the other stuff. So I went to the school of hard knocks.
Next one. Who would win in a fight, John or Brad? That's not even there's no question.
I'd pummel you.
No, you wouldn't. I mean, I would just mess with you and I would make you run because I know that'd be the funniest thing to do would just to be make you take, I don't know, 15, 20 steps and just let you and watch you.
It's so funny because like you have so much more skill and
die.
I'm such a grinder, idiot fighter guy. Yeah. And we were sitting one time and we were talking trash and I looked and John looks at me out of nowhere and just goes, I don't know if you could ever make contact with me because I would just teep kick you until you basically quit.
I would hit you at a distance and make you move a lot, and I would literally watch you do this over and over again until you got out of breath. Had to put your hands on your hands on your knees to catch breath, and then kick you in the face. It's not complicated.
He goes, eventually you would just decide that you lost and leave.
Yeah, it's like I'll just let you. Like, are we done? Come on, like this isn't good for either of us. I don't want to hurt my hand.
I would say I get close, but I don't want to be choked unconscious.
Choingler, how'd you get in 40? What was your first army? We answered get in 40, but Brad, what was your first army?
Chaos. Play Chaos first.
Mine was actually Eldar. Old school Eldar, metal Eldar. Bryce, spelled wrong. Between a full-time job, wife, kids, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, random gaming. How do you find time?
You just really, answered this 3 times.
This is the most
question.
Common question. It is. I don't do a lot of each. Like it's like I might play video games for like an hour or 2 a week. The cast eats up most of my time, but that's what it is. And jiu-jitsu, I train jiu-jitsu now only 3 days a week. Back in the day, it was 6.
I do have an answer to what he says. He goes, one of the guys goes, Brad would stand up, get lightheaded, and it would fall over. Funny related question. I got home from my latest heart thing, was trying to explain to my mom that I was feeling completely fine. Got up, tripped and fell, got up again, slipped and tripped and fell. And then I got up and I went, I'm totally fine. She's like, yeah, I'll just drive you wherever we need to go.
Yeah, sounds about right. Viper. What was your guys' favorite episode up until this point? The best, funniest. So I think my favorite is either Imperial Primer. I did enjoy that one a lot. Or actually, to be honest, no, the ones we're doing right now. What just came out recently, the Age of Technology and the Dark Age. Dark Age releases tomorrow. I loved those. Those are really fun to do.
I like the other cast quite a bit because I was excited about it.
Top 3 of your favorite models and why. Brad, you go that one. I'll jump into mine.
Man, that's crazy. For what they look like or with the coolness factor? What am I going on
Whatever you
this
want.
one?
Just it doesn't matter. Who cares? Pick.
When they first came out with Primarks, I was super excited about it because I do love large sculpts quite a bit. So I was super excited about what did we get first? We got Magnus first, correct? There's a Magnus or Mortarion?
I can't remember.
Either one.
I think it was.
I
I
own
think it
both
was
of them and I didn't
Mortarion
even play
actually.
those
I
armies.
think it was Mortarion came first, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was because I played him. I immediately played him. I didn't even like his rules. He just looked so sick.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it was
the
Magnus. Sorry.
original
Someone corrected. It was Magnus was first. Fair enough.
Minus,
Yeah.
okay, but those guys came out. I was very excited. I love the lore, of course. So like, I was super excited to just get them on the table. When we got the larger models, so 40K was played on such a small scale for like a long time,
Yeah.
and then they started making like demon princes and everything. Everything got a little bit bigger, but it's wildly the big models. Like the original demon princes and avatars were like what 2, 3, maybe 2 inches tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were
The
tiny.
original Demon Prince was about that. Yeah. You just had wings.
And then when we
Remember the
had, I don't
original?
even know what
Oh,
edition
the
it was.
original Avatar of Cain.
Yeah, the little metal guy on the square base.
Yeah.
Uh, but like when we started, it's kind of it's not even just my favorite individual models, but things like Demon Princes and stuff, when they went into the larger sculpts, I love them because they felt bigger. Felt bigger. They were bigger. Yeah, whatever. But they felt appropriate to the size difference between a marine or a guardsman and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I love the fact that they started making it so that you had this big difference between a hive tyrant standing next to a regular marine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I
And
like those models quite a bit.
mine are so my Gargantuan Squiggoth, which is down there, is one of my absolute favorite models ever. I get a huge kick out of it. The Yin Karn's one of the prettiest ones. That's up there somewhere.
Oh, Yinkard looks so cool.
The Incarnate is pretty. I'm trying to think some other like there's a ton of actually I do like the Votan line in general. Same actually Thousand Sun Rubric Marines look really good. It's more this is all aesthetic stuff. Now the Gargantuan Squiggoth's my favorite because its rules are goddamn hilarious. It's been funny forever. That's a really good model.
Can't use the -1 on it though. It makes me sad.
Huh?
Can't use the -1 strat on it anymore.
Why not? They changed it?
Yeah, it specifically can't be used on it. It can only be used on like, infantry and stuff.
It's bullshit. Favorite gameplay moment, weird rules moment, and why? Favorite like weird 40K.
I have one. I have one of my favorites. So this is why winning and losing I don't give a shit about, because it's one of the reasons I like team tournaments so much. So the year that US won the World Team Championships, I won 6 of my 7 games, and the only one I remember was me getting my head kicked in. I took a terrible matchup on a open board. I was playing a horde army versus somebody that brought, you remember this, John, Punisher cannons when they used to be able to double fire.
Yeah.
And I was getting murdered off the board. And it's when we used to have random game length, which I miss so much.
I don't.
Because now I know because you don't know, you can't do end game moves and just go, you can't do anything about it. Yeah, there's another turn possibly coming. So the game could have ended on 5 or 6 or 7. My game, I was tied on 5, losing slightly on 6, and I was scrambling to get 1 point because it went to turn 7. And I pulled a bunch of shenanigan moves to try to make it happen. That 1 point made us win instead of tying. And I remember that to this day.
Yeah. I will say my favorite rule, and be able to disagree with this, is I miss being able to make it so you couldn't hit. I miss stackable modifiers.
But no,
It was fun.
bad job. No, bad. Get off the couch.
It was more because because it was stupid. So I used to be able to take, and they're gone now, my Shadow Specters, which are over there, who have an innate -1. I'd run them as a Laytok to make them -2. And I would cast a spell on them to make them -3. And then when you went to shoot them, I would spend a CP to make them -4. So unless you were ballistic skill 2, you couldn't shoot them, and they would just sit in the middle of somewhere going, can't see me, can't see me. It was fun. It was a stupid rule, and they got rid of it. But I don't know. I kind of miss those.
This is not the episode of the week, by the way.
No.
We will have a regular episode,
no,
and this will be at the end.
This is bonus. Eric, we have a listener
Bonus.
defend our name with dignity and honor. What is your name? What is your quest? What is your favorite color? And what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? African or European? That's the number one question there. Miguel Ramos, hello, Brad and John. Love the podcast. Just wanted you guys' opinion on the Salamanders of the faction, and how do you feel about the novels? Brad, this is your favorite faction, so go for it.
Vulcan Lives is good. Everything else is kind of disappointing. The lore in the codexes is fantastic about the Salamanders, though.
Yeah, I think the Salamanders, they're a really, really, really cool legion. Unfortunately, not the best writers got assigned to their books.
Yeah.
Kyle, facepalm smash on server. If Brad could choose one augmentation to get from the Adeptus Mechanicus, what would it be and why? Follow up, why does John disagree about what should Brad have chosen? Yeah, go ahead, Brad. Which AdMech thing do you think you want? And I'll just go right into the next one.
Can I just be a Dreadnought? Fuck it at this point in time. There's not one thing that you can fix on me.
That was more my point. It's like
I said that earlier.
What I like is that your brain is so
if you were
messed up.
waiting for a transplant and I was the guy you were going to get the transplant from of any of my organs, and you had a couple days to live, you would still go, I'm going to wait this one out and just see if I can get something better.
I'm going to give Brad a little bit of credit here. He's lucky in that they couldn't make him a servitor because of the stroke, his brain's too messed up. Like, I don't know what you even do with this. Like, is there some sort of thing we can put you in where we just kind of use, hell, your calves are bad? I don't know, is it just pecs at this point? Like, a couple muscles that could be of maybe.
I had a chest hair too back in the day.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's actually a good story about how idiotic I am. I was hitting triples and I racked it, thought I heard something pop, and decided to do one more set to find out if I actually hurt myself. Newsflash, I did.
Good job.
And then I make good decisions pretty much from the beginning.
Yeah, by the way, they would reject you in the Dreadnought. Just for the record, you can go for a Dreadnought and they would reject you. They would be like, nope. Like, we're actually, the only thing the AdMech could genuinely do with you, and I love you, but it's true, corpse starch.
You know what? I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna get a Necron body.
Jason asked, what's been the hardest army you've learned to play? Thousand Suns.
Thousand Suns is so hard.
Yeah. Or Demons. It's Thousand Suns and Demons, the two ones I really like. That's tough, man. Those are tough. Christian Farmer.
I make every army I don't.
We did this already. How do we know each other? Jake G. Favorite submission went over this straight arm lock. Although I have been playing with inverted triangles recently because I got bored. For those who don't know, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 20 years. I've actually won worlds a few times in the over 30 division, so it was a major part of my life for a long time. And not Brad level broken, but my body has begun to push back on that a little bit as I've gotten older, mostly my spine. So I've had to roll it back.
I still love the fact that you just got mad at me for telling you my favorite
because
submission.
You can't physically do it.
The fact that you said that you would never get caught in it. You're like, this is dumb. I would never get caught.
You don't. The distance between here and here is longer than your forearm. It's literally. I would just sit there. I would let you try and just wait. And why? As your fingers just kept missing. Like, oh, I'm almost there. Maybe. No. God damn it. Just bear hug like an adult. And then the last of these questions, Harvey Smith. I've recently entered the 40K world and been very overwhelmed. If you could take yourself back to when you first started, what would be your top 3 tips you wish you'd been given? Go slow. That's actually the number one tip is go slow. Pick building or playing. Don't try to do both. We are very luxurious these days. There's so much content out there now. And I pump these guys all the time. Tabletop Tactics. I get $0 from them. If they're listening, hit me up, guys. I'd love to chat with you because you guys got me into 40K. We're gonna be back into 40K. Tabletop Tactics. They're out of England.
I'll rock on this one. But no, one of the biggest things is there's a lot of what's called escalation leagues now, where you start with a very small amount of points and then you grow into more points. They'll start at like 500 points, go to 1,000, but also do things like crusade leagues. Where you can play a lot smaller forces, but they get bonuses as you go. also go into things like narrative and stuff. You start slow with a group of people that are very, very hobby and lore centric. You'll have a better time. And you can then you can go as competitive as you want, but like starting out slower. I'm a very competitive guy, period, as opposed to that. So I went to the School of Hard Knocks. No, that is not everybody's
But it
jam.
was also,
Like most people would.
hold on, but you did that also 30 years ago where there were less players. So the thing, like Brad said, a really
100%.
great point there of like escalation leagues. So if you guys are playing locally and there's a game store there, discuss starting a league. Leagues are one of the best ways to learn this game because what you do in a league is every week or every couple weeks you play an opponent and you know who you're playing ahead of time, and they're friendly games. You know what's coming. You get better preparation. It's all these things. It's a much easier way to pick the game up, and you can adjust the points a little bit. The only caveat I make to escalation leagues, I don't like this game under 2,000 points. And I'm going to say that because, and it's not that you shouldn't
I don't
play.
tell people that though, man.
but
Quit pooing on stuff. It's perfectly fine.
Let me caveat it. The issue is that the game is written for balance at 2,000 points. You will play a game at 500, you cannot win. There are certain people who can put a model out there that you cannot kill. You will lose. That's okay. I'm just saying that's okay. That will happen. That's okay. It's about learning the game.
What's your new screen name? The End of Fun.
I'm just
Screw this.
I don't want you being discouraged. I don't want someone coming in and playing this game and saying, "Oh yeah, I played this game at 1,000 points and just got absolutely wrecked, and there's nothing I could have done about it." And the answer is, yeah, there is nothing you could have done about it. But if you were playing at 2,000 points, you could. So it's okay to build your way up. Dreadnought Pokemon. That's fine. But hey, Brad thought, look at that, 2 hours. That wasn't that bad. 90 questions in 2 hours. I'm proud of me. So yeah, aside for an impressive amount of technical difficulties, go team. That's on me. And a few other things. This has been good. We're gonna pop this up. Both.
Good.
Yeah, this will be available on YouTube and Discord. That's right, YouTube and Spotify because it says recording, so I can see it's recording.
Are you? Look, don't edit it at all. Keep it off the stuff where I'm explaining how to get myself popped out and everything. Actually, I have a story for that. So you could do like, did you hear what Alan did the other day? So I'm recording one of the other things that I do, and we start, and I go, hey, I give him the timestamp. I'm like, blah blah blah, 10 minutes in, 5 minutes in, whatever it was, and I go, hey, here's the timestamp. I need to adjust my lighting just a bit because it was a little too bright. And while I walk away, he just does an impromptu Loyalists commercial and puts up a Loyalists logo when he edits it. And I come back and I don't know any of this happened. So it's just me thinking that we paused, he edited it out. I watched the actual one that came out and he goes, hey, you should go to minute whatever. And it's just him doing a Loyalists commercial with that next to me. I'm like, he's like, Brad's reached the age where this might be an issue. I was like, God damn it, Alan.
All right. Well, this has gone long. I have a flu, so I'm going to go take some Tylenol and go to bed. This has been great. Thank you all for coming. I really, really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for listening. This again was a little BS hobby of love, and it's worked out really well. So it's been John Barsati and Brad Chester.
Yeah.
You guys take care.